For Mile High Stadium, it's the AFC Championship, the Cleveland Browns versus the Denver Broncos. Brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. By Hewlett-Packard, computer solutions from the people who never stop asking, what if? By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Mid 40 degrees, blue skies, home of the Broncos. Mile High Stadium with its giant splashes of orange. The home field advantage, Denver. This has been a happy place to play. No team in the National Football League has won more at home in the last 4 years than the Denver Broncos. That's the challenge facing the Cleveland Browns. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen, and we're delighted to be with you for this AFC Championship, a rematch of last year's classic game and the home field. You hear about all the distractions, Merlin. The visiting team pick out one advantage that really gives Denver.
Dick, I think that's obvious here. This is the noisiest outdoor stadium in the NFL. And that noise does one thing to a visiting quarterback, makes it difficult for him to be heard. Bernie Kosar loves to call audibles. In fact, sometimes 25% of the plays are audibles at the line of scrimmage. That will be very difficult for him here today.
Having to shout against this loud crowd. Give us something early to look for. What do you see in this first quarter?
I think one of the things we'll see very quickly is both teams trying to control the tempo of this game. And if I could borrow a basketball analogy, the Denver Broncos are going to want to play fast break football. Put the emphasis on speed and big plays. They feel they can make Cleveland play their game. They take the advantage.
All right, then, Cleveland Browns, what kind of a basketball look will they offer?
A different kind of look altogether. They want to get you inside, a more deliberate game, a more physical game. They want to muscle you inside. That means controlling the football, running up inside. A fringe benefit of that is keeping the ball out of Elway's hands.
Well, Marty Schottenheimer, the Cleveland Browns coach, like all of those opposing the Broncos this year, has had to worry about how to stop John Elway. What will he try to do?
Well, I think stop may be the wrong word. Control Elway may be a better word. You have to get the defensive ends up outside to maintain containment. At the same time, worrying about rush lanes for the tackles inside. Elway is not afraid to run that ball up inside, but he is most dangerous and makes the biggest plays when he is running to the outside and throwing that football downfield.
Marty Schottenheimer, 44 years of age, his fourth year, so very close to bringing the Browns to the Super Bowl last year, only to be heartbroken on his home field. A slight underdog. And on the near side, Dan Reeves.
What a remarkable job of coaching Dan Reeves has done this year. A defense that has been revamped, a series of critical injuries, and here he is back in this AFC Championship game.
You see the testimony of this loud crowd shaking our cameras in their enthusiasm. The kickoff, we're ready now, and it's sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Rich Karlis, who kicked the field goal in overtime to send Denver to the Super Bowl last year, only to lose to the New York Giants, and Gerald McNeil, the Ice Cube, who is on his way to the Pro Bowl, only 142 pounds of return man.
I'll bet there are butterflies in place of ice at this moment for him as he stands in that end zone.
Cleveland will start from the noisier end of the field. The AFC Championship is underway. It spins to McNeil at the goal line. Dropped at the 12-yard line. Tony Bodie made the tackle. Bernie Kosar, only 24 years of age, the quarterback. Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack will be the running threats. Reggie Langhorne is the fastest of the Browns. Webster Slaughter, perhaps the most dangerous. Ozzie Newsome, many times a Pro Bowler at tight end. The blockers, Paul Farron, one change. Greg Riccozzi, a rookie from Miami of Florida, replaces the injured Larry Williams. Mike Babb, Dan Fike, regarded as the best of the five, and Cody Rison at right tackle.
There is a physical advantage there for this Cleveland offensive line. Let's see if they get to it early.
And the crowd trying to make it tough on Bernie Kosar. Simon Fletcher with the sack at the 4. No fumble. He was down.
You have the feeling and the intensity of this huge crowd. And, of course, Cleveland is back in the horseshoe end of this stadium. That's where it is noisiest. This crowd also very, very close to the field. You watch Bernie getting out of there. That ball not fumbled, as you said, Dick, until he was on the ground.
Second and 19. Viner to the 10, maybe the 11. Viner from East Carolina. He's the heart of that Cleveland offense behind Kozar and highly regarded by his coaches and players. In fact, Viner, according to Marty Schottenheimer, he said after Kozar, he's the last man I would trade. There's a defensive line for Denver, front 3. And their linebackers, Fletcher, Mecklenburg, a star, Hundley, and Ryan. And the secondary, Dennis Smith, number 49, for the injured Harden, with Haynes and Wilson at the corners, Lilly the other safety man. Third and a dozen. Over the middle, incomplete, intercepted. It's intercepted on the juggle. Freddie Gilbert, number 90.
Deja vu for this Denver team. A big turnover in the game last week against Houston down in that same end of the field to set them up for their first points. Watch this ball. Bouncing right off the hands there. Juggled once by Dennis Smith. And Lilly comes up with it. Gilbert comes up with it. They've got the shot from the 17-yard line.
Webster Slaughter kicking the ball off his thigh to Jeremiah Castile, who juggled it forward to the big defensive end Gilbert. So a short shot for Elway and the Broncos to open the game from the 18. Sammy Winder, underrated but solid. Felix Wright, 22, the tackler.
What kind of dance is that, Dick Enberg? It is certainly a happy one, I can tell you that. Denver concerned right now. You only get so many opportunities in a game. And right now, Denver concerned about converting this early opportunity into some points.
We saw that in the earlier game. The Redskins unable to convert on some deep drives. And then late in the game, it was Minnesota inside the 10, unable to come up with the big points. Winder. Hit hard, but close to a first down. He has the first down at about the 6-yard line. It was Felix Wright again, the safety man.
Dick, so very often we talk about how Elway powers this offense, but let's give some credit to Sammy Winder. Winder, so very dependable. One of those backs that rarely fumbles a football. You see him protecting it in close, and I'll tell you, he sells out. He will give you every ounce of energy he has. Ball now on the 7-yard line, and Denver looking into that end zone.
6 yards and then 5 for Winder on the first 2 carries. He's from Southern Mississippi. First and goal. Not much there at all. Except Cleveland white. And as they unpile, let's look at the Denver Bronco offense. Elway with Winder and Lang. Natil for the injured Vance Johnson. He's in the hospital. That groin injury suffered last week, hemorrhaged. Mark Jackson, Clarence Kay, the tight end, caught 2 touchdowns against Houston. Studdard, Bishop, a Pro Bowler, Freeman, Humphreys, and Lanier are the offensive linemen. And Carl Hairston, the veteran defensive end, number 78 for the Browns, injured on that last play.
Big Daddy is the heart and soul of that defensive line for these Browns. 8 sacks on the year. He's not a man they would like to lose.
When we return, it'll be second and goal for the Broncos. And he had 8 sacks to lead the Browns this year.
Earlier in the year, he had a concussion, and they asked Sam Clancy what was wrong with him. He said he had a cracked brain. No, I don't think that's true. He looks like he's fine. That's good news for Cleveland fans.
A loss of a yard on that first and goal play, so Elway looks at second and goal from the 8. With Sewell in motion. He throws wide open, touchdown, Ricky Nattiel. The early turnover for the Denver Broncos. They go 18 yards in 5 plays. Elway to Nattiel, the rookie, for the touchdown, and Carlos tries the extra point.
Tremendous protection on that last play. Enough time for Elway to wait for Nattiel to come open. Look at this great offensive protection. Elway patiently waits. A little fake right there, a look away, and now Nattiel open in the end zone.
Boy, did that have some zip on it. That almost carried Nattiel right off his feet. 7-0 Denver. The early break goes to Denver. They capitalize as Elway hits Nattiel 8 yards out. And the quarterback of the Broncos has given Denver a chance to cheer and cheer hard early as Carlos will kick it off. Fontenot and McNeil are deep. Angles it to the far side, looking into the sun. McNeil at the 9 has a gap and returns to the 35 where Casey Clark makes the tackle. Let's go back to the touchdown, and what a job Elway did with his eyes.
We talked about Elway's abilities to look people off, and as you watch him drop back, he's going to look to the outside. No man open. Now he looks back to the opposite side, and I think was able to freeze Eddie Johnson, number 51, just long enough to keep him out of the action.
Look, he looks there, gives that little pump fake. He wanted to go to Nattiel all along. Bernie Kosar with better field position from his 35. Kevin Mack from Clemson, a big, powerful back to the 42-yard line where Tony Lilly makes the tackle. Mile High Stadium on a perfect football afternoon. Temperature in the mid-40s. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen under blue skies near the snow-bound Rockies. And the Denver Broncos trying to repeat a return to the Super Bowl, representing the AFC with a fumble, interception, whatever it was. A ball carrying free off Webster Slaughter. Take over on the 18, and an Elway to Nattiel touchdown, giving the Broncos the early lead. Now it's Cleveland, 2nd and 4. And Biner slashing to the 45 will be just shy of a first down. Fletcher, Townsend, Cragen all in on the stop.
Greg Cragen, one of the smallest nose tackles in the NFL, giving away about 20 pounds to Mike Babb, the big center. And you notice how Cleveland has immediately gone up inside. They want to establish that power game. They want to force Denver to respect that before they stretch them to the outside.
They were tough on 3rd down last week against Indianapolis. Ooh, good power running by Kevin Mack and his 225 pounds, pushing Tony Lilly forward enough that it appears he made the first down. Might be a measurement, however.
Like he picked him up with his helmet and lifted him almost off the ground. Tremendous leg drive and surge. Looked like he was trapped behind the first down yardage.
Jim Tunney, the referee, has asked for the chain gang.
Ooh. Ricky Hundley is one of the most physical of these defensive players for Denver. He's the battering ram. They need him getting upfield, disrupting the timing. You watch him as he flows with the play to the inside. He's there to help Lilly with the tackle. Just barely a first down, but that's enough.
238-pound Hundley from Arizona. Going back to your basketball analogy, he's got some beef in there trying to stop that middle game of Cleveland. Kosar, great protection, no one open. Now he flops it out to Biner, and Biner's in Denver territory at the 48. Mecklenburg with a tackle, a 6-yard gain.
This is not a classic throw.
That's an understatement.
But who cares? Bernie Kosar gets the job done. And bottom line, what we want from a quarterback is performance. You get that from Kosar. Little shot put here, but it's just as good as a tight spiral.
First invasion of Denver territory for Cleveland. 2nd and 4. Plowing behind that big offensive line to the 45, where it appears he's about a yard short of a first down. As he gets up, Ernest Biner, who is not highly regarded in the draft. He was a 10th round pick, 280th man selected. Milledgeville, Georgia, where they retired his high school number. And he's the kind of, what did Schottenheimer say yesterday, that in tough games, the common feeling is give the ball to Ernest. Let him handle the ball. He'll find a way to help us win.
Great confidence. Tremendous leadership, performance leadership for this Cleveland offense. He's also an extremely versatile player. Blocker, receiver, runner. He can do it all.
Had 122 yards last week. This time it's Kevin Mack. Fumbles! And Denver says they have it. They do. Steve Wilson, number 45.
Dick, how similar to the beginning of last week's game against Houston. The stagger lead play, the turnover, the touchdown by Denver. Houston drove down the field only to turn the ball over down near the goal line. Here we see the drive. Houston driving, or Cleveland driving the football, and out in the middle of the field, Lilly strips it away, and Denver recovers.
Kevin Mack had the first down, but in his desire to get more, they straighten him up. 22 Lilly twists it away, and eventually it'll be 45 Steve Wilson who will recover.
Just the end of that play, knocked by number 49 Dennis Smith. But what a big play, second turnover, Denver with the ball.
That's something that both coaches talked about yesterday. The one thing they can't predict. Elway looking for a bundle. Gets away. Those eyes in the back of his helmet to the 48-yard line.
The thing that used to drive me crazy about certain quarterbacks in the NFL was their ability to sense when you were coming from behind. You'll see it here. Matthews, 57, blitzing from the outside. They push him by Clarence Kay, but look how he gets in right there on Elway, and Elway seemed to feel that pressure. His eyes directly in the opposite direction, and yet able to pull away. Elway's strength as a runner there.
Sam Clancy eventually made the tackle. 7 minutes left in the first quarter, and Denver looking to add to the 7-0 lead. Gene Lang to the 10-yard line.
We talked about fast break football, and here it is. Denver usually throwing the football to get this kind of gains, but what a great play by Gene Lang. Explodes into the secondary, downfield before they get him out of bounds, and Denver threatening again.
They did not have a run that long all year. 29, the longest in the regular season. 42 for Lang. The draw to Winder, and he's inside the 5. Matthews and Mike Johnson, the tacklers.
Big Orson Mobley led that play up inside from his H-back position, making room for Winder as Denver, I think, taking advantage of the Cleveland anticipation of Elway's running game to slam that ball up inside and take advantage of their own running ability.
And 3 from the 4. Winder to the 2. That'll be a yard shy of a first down, and a very big play now for the Cleveland defense. 3rd and 1. And the Browns didn't allow too many. In fact, the best in the NFL, 26 touchdowns scored against Cleveland.
This is a matchup of a very fine defense against a fine offense. That's Dave Adolph, the Browns defensive coordinator, done a fine job of improving the quality of this defense. And one of the things they have done extremely well during this year is shut down the running game. Not so here in this first quarter against Denver.
Elway sneaking forward for the first down. It appears that he was able to wedge that inside the 1. It is inside the 1-yard line. Jim Tunney motions first. No, not yet. Turn. Cleveland can ask for a measurement if they're
going to get it. Eddie Robinson or Eddie Johnson inside asking to have this one measured. I don't think there's any question. I think they have it, but I don't blame him. You want a little time to regroup down there, get that defense together.
First and goal. Well, Kevin Mack can only hope for a big play tackle that might pop the ball free to save another 7 on a turnover. Plenty of time to go. 5:26 left in the first quarter, but Marty Schottenheimer's Browns a couple of mistakes and are very close to paying dearly for both of them. Doesn't get in. Good defensive play by Mike Johnson and Anthony Griggs. 53 Griggs and 59 Johnson.
3 linebackers involved. Eddie Johnson in there as well. You look to the outside. It looked like there was going to be an opening outside, but it's Griggs at the bottom of that stack, and Eddie Johnson reaching out to lock up on that ball carrier to keep him away from the end zone.
Third best defense in the NFL, second best against the run. Half-yard loss on that play. Fumble! Who's got it? Elway finally falls on it. A kick free out of the pile. Everyone was searching for the ball and fell right at the lap of Elway. Luck doesn't hurt either. Sometimes it's just where it winds up.
Elway never got that snap from the center. Watch Mike Freeman, number 62. That's Sewell in motion, number 30. That ball up, and Elway appeared to be pulling out a little early. He gets it in his hands. Now the ball is on the ground. And John there just in time with Chris Watkins, number 37 on his back. But I'll tell you, you got to breathe a little sigh of relief if you're on the Denver sideline when you see that ball bouncing around down that close to the goal line.
That's Jackson in motion. Elway over the middle, incomplete. So for the Cleveland Browns, a moral victory. Flag is down, and it may be a motion penalty against Denver. No, holding against Cleveland. Oh, my. That'll bring with it an automatic first down.
Frank Benefield arguing with the officials. Of course, the Cleveland cornerbacks play a very aggressive bump and run style.
Holding, number 31 defense, half the distance of the goal line, and first down.
So instead of a field goal attempt, Denver gets another 4 downs as Benefield, a Pro Bowler, he and Hanford Dixon, the talented tandem on the outside for Cleveland, both on their way to the Pro Bowl, but their man coverage, in this case, too much of the man, Benefield, and the penalty ensued. Reverse Sewell, no one there for Cleveland.
Don't run that kind of play on a bad defense, because what you're doing is taking advantage of their reaction to the play. And, of course, it worked. A very emotional Cleveland defense moving quickly to try and shut off the run to the right. And Sewell all alone going back to the left.
Carlos for the extra point. With Kubiak's hold, it's 14-0. And that was a fateful drive for Denver. One play alone, Elway had his hands on it 3 times. Fumbled the snap, had the ball on a second grab, and then had to fall on it at the 3. And then after Cleveland thought they had stopped Denver on 3rd and goal to bring up a 4th down play, Minifield guilty of holding. And then the Broncos quickly on the reverse to Sewell get 7 points. 3 minutes, 54 seconds left in the opening quarter. Carlos on his first 2 kickoffs has kicked the ball to the far corner so that McNeil, even though he's the more dangerous of the 2, has to look into the sun, and he'll try it again. McNeil coming up to the 12. And dropped at the 30-yard line. Let's go back to Frank Minifield's defensive holding call that set up the touchdown for Denver.
You'll see Minifield coming in at the top of your screen right there. Stop it. Here he is at the top of your screen, locked up. Now let's see if we can see what he does. He has the inside hand right into the chest of the defender, and the flag will come from the end zone.
And that was during our last time out as he barked at the officials. They're the dogs, the Cleveland defensive players. They proudly have given themselves that nickname, but they didn't want to do that kind of howling today. Kozar down the middle to Ozzie Newsome, and the veteran tight end has a first down at the Denver 45. Dennis Smith made the tackle, 25 yards on the play.
The Browns want to challenge this Denver defense up the middle. The injury to Mike Harden puts a new safety in there. Ozzie Newsome invading the territory, patrolled by Dennis Smith, 49. You see how much room he had there as Smith late in arriving to make that tackle.
No one has caught more passes in NFL history at that tight end position than Ozzie Newsome. Newsome again. No flag. Mark Haynes made the play. Oh, that was close. Haynes had a big game against Houston last week.
Tremendous game. Watch the timing here. Arriving. Now you can be technical since we're in slow motion and say there was contact, as Ozzie was mentioning to the official, but so close it was not called. And after being AWOL for 2 years, basically, Mark Haynes has come back this year to become the most outstanding of these defensive backs, the best coverage man in defenses in this secondary for the Broncos.
Ooh, barely got the ball to Biner, and Biner with 10 yards to the 35. Mecklenburg with a stop. Carl Mecklenburg from Minnesota. He's back to the Pro Bowl as he has been the previous 2 years.
He's at the defensive end position on the left side, number 77 here. They're trying to get pressure from that side and anticipating the pass. The Browns crossing them up with an excellent running play on that particular down. Mecklenburg today will be at linebacker. He'll move inside and outside, as well as finding himself at defensive end frequently.
3rd and less than a yard. Oh, going to pass. Wide open on this side. Derek Tennell, the tight end from UCLA, and he has a first down at the 29.
Kosar so confident, and you sense the confidence of Lindy and Fonte in Kosar's ability to find the open man. A brilliant student of the game. He has gained so much confidence in the last year. And the one thing that impressed me most in talking to Denver's defensive coaches, they said, this guy reads defenses so well, we're throwing out a lot of the stuff we ordinarily do to try and fool a quarterback.
Well, that's a high compliment to a 24-year-old. First down, Biner. Good second effort after Mecklenburg had him for a loss. Biner ad-libbed for 3. Just to add to that note that he was just 1-year-old Kosar when Cleveland won its last NFL title in '64. If he stays healthy, in the year 2000, he'll be 36, so he could be around for a while. Kozar, who would have been a rookie this year had he played his full term at the University of Miami.
What was it Ozzie Newsome said? Just think about when he gets to be an old player, like 25 or so.
That's right. 2nd and 7. Browns trailing 14-0 late in the first quarter. Fake reverse. Kozar, that's going to be intentionally grounding the ball. Andre Townsend had him wrapped up.
Kozar does not run well. By his own admission, he says, "I'm no ballet dancer." And he also does not make that many mistakes. This in particular is a mistake because he was too obvious. Quarterback has to be a good actor if he's going to dump that football.
There's no doubt about that. They caught a ball thrown the yellow.
Intentional grounding of the ball. Number 19, 10 yards from the previous spot, and loss of down.
That's the toughest penalty in the books. Loss of 10 and a down. 3rd and 17. Kozar didn't have time because he was being pulled back to throw the ball toward a receiver, and that's to the credit of the strong grip of Andre Townsend, the tackler.
So far, this Denver defense doing a fine job of getting pressure on Kozar. Kozar, the kind of quarterback who will dump that ball in a hurry when you get the heat on him.
4 wide receivers, only Biner behind Kozar.
Biner getting the call from Kozar.
Down the middle, he has a man, and it's Clarence Weathers, first down at the 19. So number 19 gets 19, and the Browns' drive is still alive.
The Browns will try and attack again this Denver defense with crossing patterns over the middle. They're looking for the good matchup, the speed matchup against the linebacker. It's Michael Brooks, 56, trying to cover Weathers here. That's not a fair matchup. Weathers just walks away from him to pick up that first down.
Just inside the Denver 20, final minute, first quarter, 14-0 Broncos. Dennis Biner, nothing there. Andre Townsend again. The 4th-year defensive lineman from Mississippi has had a big opening quarter. The defense of the Broncos with 2 turnovers, and they capitalized on both. Elway to Natil, an 8-yard touchdown pass after an interception at the Cleveland 18, and after a fumble stop at Cleveland drive at the Bronco 40, a 42-yard run by Gene Lang set up a 1-yard touchdown by Steve Sewell. 15 minutes gone, Denver in early control. Fans with a 14-0 lead. And, of course, already we know that it'll be the Washington Redskins in San Diego's Jack Murphy Stadium on Super Bowl Sunday. Bernie Kozar showing the poise that we've heard about all season long.
He has tremendous confidence and has the confidence of his teammates. This is a team with experience. They've been behind. They've come back. But I've got to tell you one thing. He's facing a Denver defense that gets tougher when they have a lead. They're not afraid to gamble more and more. And Joe Collier, I'll tell you, you hate to go up against this guy when he's got about 14 points on the board ahead of you.
Marty Schottenheimer said Joe Collier, he should have been a detective. He's just always pursuing more information. Now down in the noisy end of the stadium. 2nd and 10. Into the flat, but nothing much there for Ozzie Newsome. Give him 2. Mark Haynes, the cover man. Gilbert applying pressure on Kozar, who's sidearmed for 2 yards. 3rd, and call it a short 8.
We talked about what the noise factor does to the quarterback. It also, Dick, makes it difficult for the defense to call their defensive audibles, something we don't often think about.
For that blue sky and the orange, almost the colors of the Broncos. Biner, and he's right behind Kozar. Down the middle, incomplete. Flag down. Langhorne, the intended receiver. Mark Haynes on the cover. But a flag is down on the near side.
in an area that we would expect to see either a holding call or an illegal bump call.
That's it. That'll give the Browns a first down.
Dennis Smith better be careful as he protests that call. You don't want to lay hands on those officials. You'll find yourself off the field, and they're carrying Mike Babb, the center,
Illegal contact
to the sideline.
Number 49 defense, 5 yards, first down.
Dennis Smith, you can see that heavily wrapped forearm, a broken arm earlier in this season against the Raiders, and just returning this week after Mike Harden suffered a similar injury, a broken forearm last week against Houston. And now the concern for Cleveland on their center, Mike Babb.
They've already had to replace starting guard Larry Williams. Ricky Bolden, their best offensive lineman, went down earlier in the year. Going to have to move Riccozzi into center and bring Darrell Haley in a tackle. And Williams, well, wait a minute. Williams has gone into the game, bad leg and all, and he is going to play guard with Riccozzi moving into center.
So you got a rookie at center with Kozar. That's a Miami connection. First down. Biner got through a tackle by Roland Jones and edged inside the 10, a gain of 5 or 6.
We talk about injuries, and who made that tackle, Roland Jones, last week dislocated the ring finger of his left hand. The joint came right out through the skin. He just slapped some tape on it, went back into the ball game, and is playing well so far in this ball game today. There's Jones. You see that hand taped very tightly, and the gloves to protect it.
2nd and 5 from the 8. Matt trying to make amends, gets only a couple. Andre Townsend, 61. Greg Fragan, 71, led the charge.
What a challenge for a young rookie as you look at Greg Riccozzi. Had prepared himself to go in and start in place of Larry Williams at that guard position, but now having to move from guard to center and change his thinking again. I'll tell you, that is a real challenge. And then for Williams to come off the bench with the bad ankle, see a little courage down there on that Cleveland offensive line.
Kozar having trouble hearing, and Jim Tunney, this is an official's timeout. That's one of the few times we've seen it all year. It used to be commonplace throughout the NFL, so noisy that quarterbacks would ask for a little help from the referee, and in this case, no chance to audible for Kozar, who is at his best when he can change the play at the line of scrimmage.
I asked Marty Schottenheimer if he would try to go on a silent count. He said no. He said, we'll just yell as loud as we can for those interior people, and everyone else will have to go on the stand.
Deafening. Biner is open in the flat, but can't make the catch. So the field goal unit comes on.
Bernie Kozar wanted the end zone, but Denver denied him a receiver there. He'll just sidearm this ball out to Biner, but Biner feels the pressure. He knows he's going to get the hit from Mark Haynes right there. Mark had positioned himself perfectly. Biner did not handle the pass, and he's mad at himself. He is a very reliable receiver, but that one went through his hands.
Wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it would have been enough for the first down. A 29-yard attempt by Matt Barr. And Cleveland erases the 0 on their side of the scoreboard. Make that 24 yards by Barr. And with 13 minutes left in the first half, it's 14-3 for the home team. Welcome back to Mile High Stadium. Lee Johnson rooting that ball right out of the end zone, and the Broncos will start from the 20-yard line, enjoying a 14-3 lead with 13 minutes left in this second quarter.
Johnson more renowned for the strength in his leg as a kickoff man than as a barefooted punter. A bit erratic, but they're proud of the way he's been punting the last few weeks. Mark
Jackson to the near side. Ricky Nattiel, a touchdown maker, to the left. Elway out of the shotgun on first down. Introduced in the Bear game at midseason, a critical game in the Denver season. Inside handoff to Winder for 2.
Dick, I think that's an appropriate thought. In a sense, both of these teams made adjustments early in the year that had to do with the Bears that have helped them. For Elway, it was the shift to the shotgun to try and get away from the pressure. For the Cleveland defense, it was a shift to the Bear defense, that 8-man forcing front, to help shut down the running game. And it has really helped them to improve as a defense.
That was after New Orleans really ate them up on the ground early in the year. They had to change that defense. 2nd and 8. Natil. Elway throwing that ball more than 50 yards on the fly, but well covered by Felix Wright.
What was it that Marty Schottenheimer said yesterday? He said, I was watching a tape of Elway against New England. He rolled to the sideline, and he just turned his shoulders and fired the ball, and it looked like it was just an easy pass. He said 55 yards in the air, and I said, can we run that back, please? He said, I knew it was not fair. The arm strength of Elway forces you to respect not only the width of the field, but the length of the field as well.
Elway throwing only his second pass. He's run for 2. 3rd and 8. Sewell, first down at the 32.
Boy, a power pass. That deep out, you need the strength of the good, powerful arm to do that. And Elway not only has the power to throw that pass, but the accuracy to complete it.
Schottenheimer said he thinks Elway's 50% better, and he credits that drive in Cleveland last year. Really the making of this man's talent, really bringing him up, knowing now he is good. Winder to the 36-yard line for 4. Mike Johnson made the tackle. There's Johnson, played at Virginia Tech, a couple of years in the USFL for Jim Mora. The Stars, who won a couple of championships.
This Cleveland Brown team, Ernie Accorsi has done a great job of bringing together talent from a lot of different sources. A number of these players, like Johnson, from the USFL, some off the free agent wire. They've done a good job with their high draft choices. They have really put together a fine team.
Side handoff to Winder. Lucius Sanford, number 50, slicing in to make the tackle. There's another example. Sanford picked up off the waiver wire after being released by the Buffalo Bills. He goes out in a pass situation.
You see the number of players on and off the field for this Brown defense. A lot of situation substitution as they bring Bubba Baker in there. Come from the outside.
Dave Pazzulli limping off. He is playing for the injured Bob Golick on the nose.
Injuries looking to be a serious problem. I mean, when you go to the second man and find him hurt, Pazzulli, a very, very tough customer. They're looking at his right knee.
Had a big game against Indianapolis last week. An unpredictable player, according to his coach, but he makes the big plays. Down and 4. Elway on a draw. He's special. First down at the 46, and there goes the flag. Late hit. Chris Rockins came in late, number 37.
They're going to have to restrain Clarence Kay, who is furious, and rightfully so. No reason in the world to come up and take that kind of late shot. And I think maybe one reason these Denver players are so angry is because Vance Johnson was put out of the game, this game, and last week's game with that kind of late shot.
And he went right for the head of Elway, and that'll cost Cleveland 15.
Here's the after-the-fact aftermath as Rockins pushes Clarence Kay. Clarence Kay is going to come right back at Rockins here in a moment.
Sam Clancy, 91.
Unnecessary roughness, number 37, added to the run, 15 yards and first down.
There's the hit. Elway obviously down. Elway pretty cool. He knew he was going to get the flag on it. He just got up and headed back toward the huddle.
Rockin stays in the game. First down at the 39. Denver leading 14-3. 10:40 left first half. Again, shotgun on first down. Wide open underneath is Natil. He can fly. First down at the 25.
Very critical factor, and Elway gets a great deal of it here. Natil coming all the way across underneath, able to get open underneath the zones for Cleveland on that last play. This Cleveland defense likes to play that zone defense on the first down situation because they like to get their cornerbacks up into the run support game.
Winder on a delay. Did not fool Cleveland. Clay Matthews, Pro Bowler again this year. #1 pick out of Southern California there to make the stop.
Dick, I'm amazed at how well this Denver Bronco team has been able to run the ball against that Bear defense. Doing a good job of it. You look at the play selection, the Browns obviously would like to run the football. I'm amazed they haven't thrown more since they're behind. And look what Denver has done. Well, I'd say that is out of character. Even last week, as they were way up on Houston, they were throwing the football in the second half. Here, they're relying on the run game.
There goes Elway. And he slides down to 21. That'll be 5 or 6 yards shy of a first down.
We mentioned right at the beginning of the show that Elway is not afraid to run that ball up inside. It's sometimes planned, as it was on that draw a few moments ago. This is just Elway's reaction to an opening up inside. He sees there's nobody there. That little opening, look how quick he is to dart up into the secondary to pick up the easy 5 yards.
And a former minor leaguer in the Yankee chain, an outfielder, hit 318. He knows how to slide. 3rd and 6. The time again. Wide open, Natil to the 1-yard line. That far from another touchdown.
The crossing patterns are absolutely killing this Cleveland team, but it's Denver's offensive line shutting down the pass rush, letting Elway stay back in that pocket to have time to wait for those receivers to pop open.
Well, that was a bullet, a Nolan Ryan fastball right into the numbers of Natil. He had to catch that out of self-defense. Touchdown for Gene Lang. That caps an impressive 80-yard drive by the Broncos. We
mentioned the Cleveland Browns wanted Denver to come inside and play the physical game. They have, and they're doing a pretty fine job of it.
With his jersey off behind Gary Danielson is Mike Babb, apparently out for the game, knee injury, and Dave Pizzulli also a knee. They don't know if he'll return. McNeil just waves that one out of the end zone. Touchback at the 20 for Cleveland, trailing 21-3. Still working on Pizzulli. who's playing for the injured Bob Golick. Golick, named to the Pro Bowl, had hoped that Cleveland might win today, and he said, somehow I'll find a way to be ready for the Super Bowl.
Now, you're obviously hurt when you go to your backup in that critical position, and now to go to the backup of the backup. If Pazzulli is unable to come back into this game, they're strapping a knee brace onto that right knee. It would appear that he will at least give it a try. We'll keep an eye on it.
Not time for desperation yet for Cleveland, but they certainly have to call on some resourcefulness. Trailing 21-3. Screen to Biner. Gain of 3. Greg Cragen and Andre Townsend. Boy, those two men have played a whale of a first half for Denver. Names you don't hear that often during the course of the year, and they have really made tackle after tackle.
You certainly hear them here in Denver. Stan Jones, the defensive line coach, extremely proud of the way his defensive linemen have played. And we mentioned this is the smallest defensive front line in the NFL. They make up for that size with good technique.
Flag down as Kozar going deep for Slaughter. A little too long. Now we'll check the penalty. Motion against the Browns. Obviously a 5-yard penalty. We'll see whether or not Denver will take it.
Number 70 is declined. Third down.
Larry Williams, who probably is borrowing on every chance he has because of that bad ankle in playing there. Merlin alluded to the lightness of the Denver defense, if you want to call 257 as an average light, but by pro football standards, indeed it is.
It is these days. And of course, this Denver defense compensates for that size with a lot of movement. They're slanting people. They're stunning people. They try not to give you that straight one-on-one shot.
Denver with 9 men on the line of scrimmage. And a lot of them are coming. And they get him, Roland Jones. Freddie Gilbert. It appeared that Roland Jones got there first.
I believe it was. Roland that got there to get the sack. They call him the trapper. He was right on top of him. They wondered at how effective he would be with that hand wrapped tightly. Well, he's given us a good answer here with that sack.
Casey Clark is back at the 45-yard line. Barefooted Lee Johnson to kick for Cleveland. First punt of the game. And he hits a beauty, driving Clark all the way back to his 31. Fontenot makes the tackle at the 32. A 58-yard punt. Johnson out of his own end zone.
Tremendous pressure being applied to Bernie Kosar, much more so than Elway has had to put up with. But again, you have to remember,
first half for Denver, opportunistic and certainly productive. 3 possessions and 3 touchdowns. And you go to that Cleveland sidelines now, and you got to look for something very special.
They certainly have to be looking for the turnover, and I think have to take some risks, although you're not certainly out of this ball game. This is a productive offense. They're not afraid to get themselves back into it, but they need a break of some kind.
Denver starting from its 32, and Winder protecting the football, picks up about 5. Mike Johnson in the middle, number 59.
Of course, you're playing now with the man who started this season not playing football. They've been cut loose. Number 99, Darrell Sims, cut loose by the Steelers. They picked him up. Cleveland did during the strike. He stayed on, but basically as a pass rusher. Now he's being called on to go in and replace a replacement.
Sims, the number 1 pick of the Steelers 3 years ago, but didn't make it for Chuck Noll. There's Winder again, dancing through the hole, and you know, it's the game becomes almost unkind because the good teams find the weakness and they pound away ruthlessly.
The challenge right here, Mike Freeman, who by the way is also replacing an injured player, locks up one-on-one on Sims to make room. And of course, when you replace someone with an injury in the line, or in the backfield, you go right at them to test them.
Dave Pizzulli on the sidelines. Bob Golick was the man he replaced. You see Babb in the background. He's through for the day.
He locked up. Apparently a piece of cartilage was broken loose.
Elway goes to work again, leading 21-3. Oh, what a play by Hanford Dixon. There's the man many feel is the best player at his position in the league. Hanford Dixon, he's the top dog, and he showed how he can close to the ball.
Watch the way he closes on the receiver just as that ball arrives and reaches out without touching the receiver, getting that hand in front without making contact to knock that ball down. That one you can put in the highlight reel and also in the training reel. However, I don't think Cleveland's looking for something to put in the highlight reel right now unless it's an interception return for a touchdown.
Elway rolling. Oh, that's a lot of time. And he doesn't complete it to Gene Lang. Oh, there's a classic example, Merlin, that you've talked about. When he rolls right, normal defenses collapse to the side he's rolling. You can't do it against him.
You can't do it against Elway because of the strength of his arm, and also because of the way these receivers react when Elway runs out of this pocket. Now, that appeared to be a planned rollout. But look at the time Elway gets just by moving back and forth. You've got to give him some room because you can't let him upfield. And, of course, in the meantime, Elway has got that vision downfield, and he doesn't run out of desperation. He runs with purpose, looking downfield, keeping an eye on those receivers.
A rare time the Browns have Elway 3rd and 10. Look at that. Oh, my. First down, picking his way, using his blockers. 3 or 4 chances for the Browns to stop Elway.
Very, very close to that first down, and you'll see Elway actually directing his blocker as he approached the sideline. He said, you block him in, I'll go outside. Watch him here. The first move is right there, the quickness to get away from Hairston. Just a tiny place here. Now watch it here. You see him pointing to the block right there and sets it up on Harper. That's number 23, Harper. He said, hey, a little fake inside, and bam, there's room for me to go outside.
That was Steve Watson with a shielding block. And Jim Tunney waving for his crew, the chain crew, to position whether this is a measurement. Obviously, the Browns aren't happy with the spot.
You saw that broad smile of Elway's. He said, you know what I like about this game is it's fun. And I guess on a day like today, that's doubly fun because Elway has got everything going his way right at this moment.
Carl Hairston, another Cleveland injury. It's not been fun for them. Meantime, we don't know. There's been no signal as to whether or not Elway scrambled for the first down.
Hairston left the field briefly earlier in the game.
First down.
The end of that play, Hairston will go over the top of the pile right here. Let's see if we can see what happened. Hit by his own man, I believe. Looked like a knee to the hip or the stomach area. Hairston moving under his own power, but obviously a bit troubled. And so often that happens when bodies are flashing around in there. Very often it's your own teammates who crash into you and do their damage.
Oh, first down, Broncos at the 43. Gene Lang, quick out of the blocks to the 38. Clay Matthews and Mike Johnson, 2 Packers for Cleveland. And an injured Bronco, Lang.
Number of players on the ground, I think an indication of the kind of hitting going on in this game. A very intense football game. 33, Lang with the football. 2 linebackers there to put the fight on him. He draws the crowd in a hurry.
Report is that Gene Lang hit in the ribs. Okay, will return. 2nd and 5. With 4.5 minutes remaining in this first half. Ball Denver 21-3. Winder. Close to a first down. Let's go back a play before. What's happening? Those cornerbacks on wide receivers.
Bump and run. Minifield on Jackson. Jackson throwing. This looks like a log rolling contest. Of course, Jackson blocking on the running play, but you see the very physical bump and run style of these Cleveland corners. That was Minifield. Number 31, Hanford Dixon on the opposite side of the field. The same kind of aggressive football.
Now Denver's 4th possession. They scored touchdowns on the first 3 of this first half. And they've marched now at least into long field goal range. And they have dominated ball possession.
You can't do many more things right than Denver has done so far. Their fourth possession of the game. The first 3 ended up in touchdowns, and this one pointing itself toward the end zone.
Looking incomplete. Sewell went inside. Elway threw outside. Maybe realizing that Sewell was well covered. A reminder to our viewers that we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player, announcing that at the conclusion of today's game. Well, by this time, the Vikings in disappointment have showered and left RFK. Cinderella season that fell 1 game short, and the Washington Redskins in the nation's capital in celebration. They're back in the Super Bowl. A familiar spot for Joe Gibbs' team here in the 80s. Looking for Sewell. It was Minifield, 31, closest of 4 Browns.
Man-to-man matchup as Minifield goes against Sewell. Sewell breaking hard inside, and look how Minifield matching stride for stride. Clay Matthews, number 57, a good job of reading the quarterback and getting his hands up in front of that intended receiver.
Minifield, his cousin Dirk, now a member of the Boston Celtics. Frank himself, not a bad high school player, grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, went to the University of Louisville, where Mark Clayton and others, his collegiate teammates. Elway wants Mathiel in motion. Gets away again and tries to hit Kay. Flag down where it appears a hold, and that is the signal against the mask against Denver. That was a 3rd down pass, incomplete. We'll see whether Cleveland denies. It would be a long field goal if tried of about 50 yards.
Holding offense. 54 is declined. 4th down.
Keith Bishop.
Rich Carlos, who spent this offseason doing a lot of running and cycling and a lot of lifting to strengthen his leg, has certainly increased his range as a field goal kicker. I don't know that Reeves would have had this much confidence in him last year, but the strength in that leg has allowed him to reach further and further out onto the field.
50-yard attempt, his longest ever 51. He matched it this year. Cleveland will call time. You saw Marty Schottenheimer on the sidelines. Don't know whether or not he was waving off a possible blocked attempt or whether they had to play in the works defensively.
There's a possibility that Schottenheimer didn't want them to wave that penalty off. I think maybe, as it looked like, he was saying, that's all right, it's all right, don't worry about it. Of course, Marty has brought his brother in to coach the defense, or to coach the special teams.
Marty, who was here in Denver in the real estate business after retiring as a player.
That's Marty's brother, Kurt Schottenheimer, right there, responsible for the special teams of this Cleveland Brown team.
Marty's sports exploits at the time in Denver, that was in the early 70s, was he was a home run hitting softball player. He said, I just got frustrated with not knowing what my life was doing professionally. He said, one thing about football, every 7 days you get a measure of where you're at. But he said, I felt like I was running around and not really settling in the real estate business. So he went to Joe Collier, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, who had coached him. They had been friends from long time back. And Collier took time. He said it was in the off season. We went through films. Marty was always a fine student as a player. And Schottenheimer then got a chance to coach in the World Football League as an assistant. And through the ranks as a defensive assistant, finally to the head coach, replacing Sam Ritigliano.
He has done an excellent job and does an excellent job of preparing his team week to week.
Gary Kubiak to hold, a 50-yard attempt. That one no good, wide left.
Well, you take the ball out of Elway's hand and pass the opportunity to Carlos and perhaps save an opportunity to second guess the Cleveland sideline as they take the ball back and head off in the other direction.
First time that Denver has come away empty, and with 3.5 minutes remaining, Marty Schottenheimer recognizes how important the score would be prior to halftime, trailing 21-3. Kevin Mack running right through a couple of tackles. And he's to the 46-yard line. Carl Mecklenburg and Dennis Smith finally wrapped him up.
Kevin Mack showing you some Pro Bowl form there. He lowered his shoulder, and Mark Haynes thought he was going to go head-to-head. Watch him here. He'll dip the shoulder as Haynes comes up and then go over the top. Dips the shoulder and then lifts over the top. Keeps his balance. Boy, that is a beautiful piece of running.
Darrell Green of the Redskins would have appreciated that.
Certainly would have.
14 yards and a first down. Now to Webster Slaughter, his first catch of the game. Good for 9 to the Denver 45.
One of the things that Kosar has not been able to do is get his team into a rhythm today. One of the things they do best, timing patterns. That's what this is. The ball in the air. Webster coming back and, of course, making the catch. Not quite a first down, but at least moving down the field, getting something going here.
Webster, who is second to Brian Brennan on the year with 47 catches. Slaughter from San Diego State. 2nd and 1. Ozzie Newsome incomplete. Not well thrown. Tony Lilly was there for Denver. So it'll be 3rd and 1.
In isolation, you'll get a feeling for the play as Mecklenburg drops back. Yeah, Ozzie got one hand on it, but not two.
Yeah, it shows you how tough it is to throw through that zone. You got that linebacker fading back into the gap. Had to be a perfect toss and wasn't. Viner stopped. He didn't make it. Ricky Hundley filled the hole.
This is early in the game to have critical choices like this, but Schottenheimer faced with a tough one here. It's going to be short. It'll be 4th and less than a yard. And I would believe that he's going to have to go ahead and take the risk. I asked him yesterday, does a coach change his coaching style in this kind of game? Does he have to accept greater risks? He said the situation sometimes dictates that. It dictates it here, and he's going for it on 4th and 1.
At the Denver 45-yard line with 3 minutes remaining in the half. Kevin Mack gets 2 and a first down. Tony Lilly made the tackle, and that was really between Mack and Lilly, not much left to stop Kevin Mack should he have plowed through the defensive back.
Concern, though, for Mack getting the first down. I don't think he's looking for the home run there. He just wants to make sure they've got the 1st and 10, hopefully to keep that ball moving down the field. 2:28, 2:27, and counting down.
deflected and almost to teammate Langhorne. It was Slaughter, and Slaughter being pushed around a little bit, and the flag goes down.
He may be ejected for that. Obviously taking a couple of swings. Felt that he had been fouled early, but boy, you can't lose your cool. And Webster Slaughter, who in his second year has really become a blue chip receiver, making a mistake, losing his poise and taking the swing.
Slaughter, who is only 163 pounds. He is a pencil.
Let's see if we can see what made him angry here. That's Steve Wilson, 45, working man-on-man here. Tony Lilly.
15 yards.
I think he thinks that Lilly went after his head. I think that's what he thought, but Lilly went after the back of his head.
Cost 15 yards to the Browns.
He's going right after Lilly, and Lilly's... Now that's what you have to do. You can't retaliate in that situation, or you both get the call. Lilly perfectly willing to take the 15 yards in lieu of the punishment.
A second down and 25 for Cleveland. Approaching the 2-minute timeout first half. And the Denver Broncos leading 21-3. See Mecklenburg working right in on the center now. And then dropping off. Kozar to Brian Brennan, short yardage. Was he down?
I don't think so. I think they're going to call a fumble, yes.
Jeremiah Castile made the hit.
We may see a review on this one. It did not appear that Brian Brennan's knees were yet on the ground as Castile comes underneath. Let's take a peek at it. No, that ball is out before Brennan touches the ground with his knee.
Let's check his elbow. He has the ball, and watch the elbow in which that's his left elbow. Well, from that angle, it looks like it might have been a fumble.
Looks like the helmet might have been on the ground first. Maybe we can get one more shot of that, because I think they're indeed looking at it upstairs. I think his helmet touches first, and I think the helmet simultaneous with the ball coming loose.
Well,
now, that may be reversed, Dick, because the helmet was on the ground. Now he's allowed to touch the hand down. That's not considered a downed ball. But I think if the helmet hits, Jack Reeder looking at that one, and we'll give him a chance to make his call.
The instant replay was used 50% more reversals this year than a year ago. 57 plays in the entire course of the regular year reversed. And this is about as tough as you can cut it. That angle looks like it's a fumble. Then another angle looks as if he might have his elbow and helmet down.
I'm glad that's not my job.
That's why, in a way, in this situation, almost better off letting the guy on the field call it and go on with the game. We're at the 2-minute warning.
The official certainly in great position to make that call as he was looking right into the play.
Upon further review, the play stands as called on the field. Recovery by Denver. First down.
And that is the 2-minute warning. The Broncos with their third turnover of this first half.
One of the things that happens to you when your team is behind, you try and do too much, Dick. They were looking at the helmet, we're told, but did not feel that they could reverse it on the basis of what they saw. You see Kosar to the sideline. We'll spend some time over there with Lindy and Fonte. They've got to get their offense on track. That is Lindy and Fonte, in fact, with the glasses there talking to Kosar.
So with 2 minutes left in this first half, the Broncos leading 21-3 have it at the 48. Screen to Winder. To the 42-yard line. Mike Freeman, a good block on the screen. Mike Johnson made the tackle. And Elway will call time with 1:45 left in the half. Broncos with a ball and a sizable lead. And Elway Sims, number 99.
Really a fine play by Sims as he was able to get off the block of Mike Freeman, the center. Looked like it may have gotten Elway's foot in his stomach. And I'll tell you, I don't know when I've seen a game with more players heading to the sideline, more critical injuries on both sides of the field.
Meanwhile, on the Denver sidelines, Rulon Jones, their star defensive end, took a finger in the eye, and we're waiting for a report on that injury.
Well, that's Steve Antonopoulos just to the right there, the trainer. I tell you, we see MVP awards. He may get the MVT award, most valuable trainer. 13 players, Bronco players, down during the season, many of them starters. You've seen how many players have gone to the sideline for the Browns today. There's Steve Antonopoulos, who's done a good job. He's obviously concerned about the vision of Rulon Jones. His left side getting beat up.
Halftime, Bob Costas and Don Shula will analyze this first half. We'll hear from Joe Gibbs and the Redskins side of the upcoming Super Bowl, and Paul and Ahmad will analyze as well.
Was that a sigh of relief you saw at the end of that game from Gibbs?
I thought he was going to faint.
It looked like his knees had gone when we caught him.
And that play at the goal line. 3rd and 2. Elway doesn't get away this time, or does he?
No.
They whistled it dead, and
Al Baker. That's in the grass.
He might argue he is tough to bring down.
Elway, a strong quarterback, and we may have a penalty. There may have been a face mask associated with that.
That's right, against Cleveland.
Marty Schottenheimer out to pass some word of encouragement on, or perhaps a word to the officials. Elway, again, as we said early in the day, not afraid to run up inside. Quickly here. Let's look for the face mask. Al Baker, number 60. There's the head being pulled to the side.
Face mask on the defense against the quarterback. It's 5 yards, penalized from the spot, return to the line of scrimmage. It'll still be 3rd down.
There's the mask being pulled. Baker thought he had the sack, thought he had the man in control.
Elway with his size. They call him the Duke now after John Wayne, the way he swaggers, quiet style, big and strong, great arm, and with his speed, 4.7 can outrun many of the defensive players. Can he this time? No. Number 91, Sam Clancy. Well, you talk about the basketball analogy with Merlin Olsen earlier. Clancy, a great player at the University of Pittsburgh, where he left the Panthers as their all-time rebounder, and Jack Patera and the Seahawks drafted him as a tight end, and Chuck Knox made him a defensive end before trading him to Cleveland.
39.5-inch sleeve length for him. He uses that well in the pass rush, able to keep those keep those linemen away from him and force himself outside to get upfield.
Now here, Cleveland apparently isn't going to call a timeout with well over a minute left. They've let 20 seconds go by, and of course Denver says, well, we'll just let it run, and then Mike Moran will kick it.
Take the penalty here.
I'm a little surprised at that. They would have had the ball in about 1 minute and 20 seconds instead. Well, it would have been exactly 1 minute and 20 had they called time. Instead, 30 seconds tick off, and now there's only 50 seconds showing, and Horan will kick with a delay of game penalty.
Browns only 1 timeout left, and maybe that's the reason, Dick. They would have taken their last timeout to stop the clock in that situation. I would believe that the Browns have to go in and try and block this kick. They've got to try and turn the momentum of this game. They certainly have not had the big play drop in their favor. So far, Denver not only getting the breaks, but taking advantage of them. You see Dan Reeves on the sideline, has to be totally pleased with what his team has done in the first half of this football game.
Reeves in his 11th championship game as a coach or player. He says the ones I remember were the ones we lost. To McNeil, he's dangerous. With the quickness and the courage of the little man. He's out to the 38-yard line. Clock stopped with 39 seconds. A reminder, NBC Sports World goes to every corner of the globe, bringing you the best in sports action as we enter our 10th year, one of our premier sporting events on ice, the NutraSweet World Professional Figure Skating Championships. You'll see Scott Hamilton, Robin Cousins, spectacular ice dancing, much, much more. Bring back 10 years of memories. 3 o'clock next Sunday on NBC. Oh, we got that Bob Hope Desert Classic coming up next week as well. And having lost 30 seconds of time, Kozar starts from the 37. Underneath the Biner to the 48-yard line.
Kozar will be up quickly, 30, and he calls his last timeout. 29 seconds on the clock. And Cleveland will use their last timeout.
Bernie Kozar goes to the sidelines to talk with the coaching staff, trying to come up with some magic that might at least allow the Browns another three-point try. There's Gary Danielson in the ball cap. The veteran quarterback said, I have so much admiration for Kozar. He said, I felt it from the very first time we had a meeting together, a team meeting. He said, I was about to ask a question to the coaches, why would we want to use that play? And Kozar, a raw rookie, raised his hand, 22 years old, said, wait a minute, what's the theory behind this play? He said, I knew right then I'd like Kozar.
Danielson nodding his head, agreeing with the call that was made. Kozar really being tested today. They say he is unflappable, but he's working against a man who's been here coordinating defenses for 19 years, Joe Collier. The man who coaches the defensive line here has been 15 years, Stan Jones. Merle Moore, the linebacker coach, has been here with the Denver defense 11 years. That kind of continuity on the opposite side of the field makes it tough on a young quarterback.
Yeah, when Dan Reeves came here, he didn't clean house. He kept those veteran coaches. 29 seconds. 21-3 Denver. Down the middle for Brennan, incomplete. Brennan had a step on the defense.
Kozar trying to get that ball out in front of Brennan, one of the small possession receivers who've been so productive. And Dick, you said it earlier in our conversation, except for the great drive by Elway, Brennan would have been the hero of last year's game between these two teams with a catch that put his team ahead. The final minutes of that ball game.
The first and 98 ensued, and the drive, as they call it in Denver, led to the overtime and the win.
Believe me, they have been reminded of it in Cleveland many times too.
That's Webster Slaughter. He's in field goal range, but then can they get the field goal unit on?
They've got to be able to get down and throw a quick pass and freeze the clock. It's counting down. I think they'll be able to do it. Throw it out of bounds. No, just to the ground. The new rule permits it.
And with 4 seconds left, that allows Matt Barr and the Browns kicking team to come on. They hesitate for a moment.
Talking to Matt Barr, as you see him come onto the field, he has spent the year rehabilitating an injured knee. He said, I'm not yet back to the kind of range that I had before the injury. Marty Schottenheimer said, we really are confident of anything he kicks out to about 45 yards. Well, we're just outside of that 45-yard range.
It'll be just a little over 45 yards. He connected from 24. And this one will be no good.
Plenty of leg, but it's off to the right.
And so ends an all Denver first half. First 3 possessions for the Broncos. 2 of them came on turnovers, led to touchdowns. And John Elway,
that Reeves and his staff had, and the tremendous motivation that loss against the Giants in the Super Bowl last year just planted that seed in their heads. Boy, I tell you, they have kept their eyes on that return since that day.
Yeah, the Broncos only once this year went ahead at halftime did they lose the game, and that was to the Minnesota Vikings. This kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser as we open the second half. Budweiser, the king of beers. Lee Johnson to drill it to the far end. K.C. Clark and Ken Bell are the deep men for the Broncos. 21-3 the score. Don't know what the delay is at the moment. One of the officials down on the phone chatting with a supervisor in the press box.
The sun has dropped enough now that it will not be a factor here in this third quarter.
Along with the turnovers, the injuries to key Cleveland Brown personnel in the first half. Fazuli, the nose tackle, replacing Golick, and the center Babb were critical. Johnson lines it to Bell. Ooh. Looks like an outfielder and returns to the 25-yard line. John Elway. The statistics, not all that impressive, but if ever 30 minutes again was a microcosm of Elway's season, don't judge the man by his numbers. They often lie. The
statistics do lie, and of course much of Elway's value can be found in those running statistics. He has run so effectively in this first half.
And in defending Elway, you open avenues for other people. Winder and Lang running the ball well in the first half.
Elway has 30 yards rushing already in this game.
Winder on first down, a couple of yards. Sam Clancy and Reggie Camp, 96. There are the official halftime statistics, and as you can see, total yards, fourth notation, 160 for the Broncos, 148 for the Browns. So it appears to be close based on that. But then the 3 turnovers that the Broncos gained, and that was the difference. Elway on 2nd and 9. Sewell in motion, the all-purpose back. Elway's going to throw to him. And he's hit hard at the 27. Sewell, one of the many injured who returned in time for the late season and playoffs, fractured his jaw against the Raiders.
We have a penalty flag on the far side of the field, and I believe they're going to call that one back. Winder shaking his head over there. I don't know whether he was in motion, moving up too quick. What? We'll let Jim Tunney tell
Holding,
us.
23 offense, 10 yards, still second down.
Winder, who has led the Broncos in each of the last 5 years in rushing, at 741 yards this year.
Denver not getting the benefit of their usual field position here, and I'm sure Cleveland hoping to shut them down here, get good field position for Kosar in the offense.
To the shotgun goes Elway at his own 16. Center screen to Winder. Down at the 24-yard line, Mike Johnson makes still another tackle along with Eddie Johnson. Not related. Eddie Johnson's wife, Ramona, who is a star shortstop on the Georgia State Softball Championship for 3 years. Last weekend against Indianapolis, she had labor cramps at the stadium during the game and then presented Eddie Johnson with a new daughter just before midnight. Fazuli apparently will not play the rest of the game.
Still on the sideline. I think he would have been in there to start the second half if he was going to be able to play at all.
3rd and 11 for Elway. There's that Tarkenton roll, and then the throw downfield, intercepted. Felix Wright at the 35. Tackled by Sewell, and the Browns have their first turnover. And
Elway,
that might have been a case where he tried to do too much, Merlin.
John Elway finally making a mistake, and on that Cleveland sideline they're saying, well, it's about time we got something on our side. A Denver first half. Watch Elway as he turns the opposite direction. What this does as he spins away is takes the angle away from the pursuers. And Elway again getting extra time, simply throwing that one into a crowd of white jerseys. He does not throw the ball that badly very often.
So Bernie Kosar and Cleveland set up at the Denver 35. Kevin Mack. Ooh, to to the 22-yard line, and Simon Fletcher brings him down by the heels just as Mack was on his way to the goal line. Felix Wright, who had 4 interceptions during the regular season. The right place.
You wonder why Kevin Mack is going to the Pro Bowl. Watch him run with the football.
Brings back memories, those great Cleveland fullbacks of yesteryear. Marion Motley comes to mind. First down, it's Biner this time. Can't get outside, and there was Andre Townsend again. His quickness getting him in position to make that stop. 4 yards on the play. The Browns hoping they can repeat their second half performance of last weekend. But that was a different place against a different team.
Certainly was. They didn't have to contend with this crowd. And right now, Kosar going into the noisy end of the stadium and trying to get his, you see him communicating here, trying to get the word out to his wide receivers.
6 seconds on the 30-second clock. 4, 3, 2. Throwing for Langhorne, touchdown, Reggie Langhorne. And the Browns have capitalized.
The Cleveland contingent of fans celebrates, and you hear and sense the silence in this stadium. I don't know what it was that Kosar saw, but I believe he was calling an audible the minute he lined up and came out to the line of scrimmage. Under great pressure with the dog, drops that ball to Langhorne in front of Dennis Smith.
18-yard touchdown for the Browns, and now Matt Barr, the point after. And Cleveland in the first 4 minutes of the second half with an interception at the 35 and then an 18-yard touchdown pass to Reggie Langhorne to cut into the lead. The pressure from the defense, Rulon Jones right up the middle against Kosar. He had to throw right through that defender, and Langhorne, who had a touchdown reception last week against Indianapolis, had only one all year, has picked up 1 each in these 2 playoff games. He is the fastest of the Browns at 200 pounds.
They say he can run a 4.36 40. Now that is flying, and you saw that kind of speed on that last play.
Now let's see if the Browns pick up any momentum defensively off that touchdown early in the third quarter. Johnson hits it high and deep. Ken Bell will not run it out, so that'll give us a chance on the touchback to go back to the touchdown.
A chance to watch Langhorne. He's just going to bring it right down the field and cut it in front of Dennis Smith. Here's Rulon Jones, the man that brings the pressure up the middle. Watch the play as it develops. Good job of Kosar staying there, and they're able to get it over the secondary, over the safety who did not react well to that football. That ball thrown in a place where Dennis Smith could not get through Langhorne to get his hands on it either.
So from the 20, Elway starts out in the shotgun, first down. Right on the money. Mark Jackson, one of the 5'9" amigos. Dos amigos today with Vance Johnson in the hospital rooting for his team.
There were those who were really concerned that Denver would be handicapped, and indeed they are. They do miss the big play skills of Vance Johnson, but with Jackson and his speed, with Natil on the other side and his speed, it's not like they don't have the quick receivers.
Double tight end with Kay on the right side, and Mobley now in motion from the right side as the Ram blocker, but it doesn't work that time as Reggie Camp submarining with help, and that may not be a first down. They needed only a yard.
First down. Third down.
Cleveland's defense stiffening up.
3rd and inches.
So important here to get Denver stopped, not to allow them the kind of long drives, the kind of success they had in the first half.
Well, they will often sneak in this situation. Not this time. Easily for Lang, but a flag goes down right in the center of the pile, and the Browns say they saw a hold. Let's see if that's what the officials call. Well, there's an interception, then a key penalty. And suddenly, things that were breaking all the Denver way go for Cleveland.
Holding, offense, number 62, 10 yards, still third down.
Mike Freeman, the center.
It looks like one of those plays where Freeman just grabs number 99 Sims and pulls him backwards. You see him there just grabbing and pulling Sims backwards away from the line of scrimmage. Now, very often that is not seen, but this official happened to be right in the right spot to drop the flag on it.
But had the ball carrier not gone right through that hole, they might have overlooked it. So 3rd and 10 and a half. Elway runs into his own man and finally throws it complete to Jackson, who gets a first down and more. He may go all the way. Touchdown. It matches his number, and he did much of it himself. That was just a little comeback pattern looking for the first down. The longest touchdown play in postseason history.
Marty Schottenheimer said yesterday in our conversation the thing that he feared most about Elway was the unknown. He said you can do everything right defensively, and he can still come back and kill you. Well, that illustrates the point beautifully.
For the extra point to make it 28-10.
It appeared that they were going to sack John Elway, and all of a sudden, it's going the other direction.
Elway's first 7 completions for 76. One. It appeared they had Elway. How many quarterbacks could have made that play? He runs away from traffic, runs into his own man. Look at the scrambling capability of the quarterback, Elway.
The sense of where the opening is, and even with the bump running into his own man, so quick in finding the man open, finding Jackson and getting him the ball. 2 missed tackles, the first by Harper, the second by Wright, and then it's just a chase, a matter of speed down the sideline, and a touchdown.
Jackson had just enough to get across the final stripe.
He might have been running out of gas as he approached that goal line. That is a long run, coming all the way across the field.
Now, right here, if the tackle's made by Mark Harper, that would not have been a first down. But Jackson's running ability frees him down the sidelines, and a 28-10 lead.
That's Ellis, who catches him right at the end. Jackson has just enough to get over the line.
Well, remembering his fallen partner, Vance Johnson, 3 amigos. Well, Carlos watches the ball fall off the tee as they approach on the kickoff. Gerald McNeil and Fontenot are deep.
For the Cleveland Browns, the sense briefly that they were going to have an opportunity to tighten this game up considerably, and suddenly Elway strikes again.
McNeil lets it go out of the end zone. And you almost wonder if Schottenheimer's coach would like to see him take a chance on those low, long ones with his great open field ability. Now Bernie Kosar, trailing 28-10, takes the field. There's a little better look at the shoes or the backside of Mark Jackson.
I'm sure that
the Vance
Johnson from his hospital bed and probably tickled to be remembered, but he'd rather be out here, I got to tell you that.
Kevin Mack, that inside game. Mack and Biner, two north-south runners. He gets 5. Dick Dolak, one of the officials on that long run by Jackson, trying to stay up with the play, blew a gasket and pulled a muscle. And so Jerry Seaman, who is a referee in the regular season, is now working as a back judge. Mack again for only a yard. Jim Ryan and Ricky Hunley collaborate.
Rash of injuries continuing, but this time it was one of the zebras that went down.
The winner, in case you're just joining us, will meet the Washington Redskins, who won 17-10 in a game that was decided in the final seconds, with the Vikings down inside the Redskin 10 and unable to complete a pass on the goal line. 28-10, Denver leads. 8 minutes left, third quarter. Biner complete at the 37. Rick Dennison made the tackle.
A luxury that Kozar has not had a great deal of today. Plenty of time to wait for the receiver to come open. Biner out of the backfield. Watch Kozar. Look at the protection that he's getting on this particular play. He's had great heat all day long. Biner just coming out of the backfield, swinging upfield and then across the field, able to get there in front of Rick Dennison, number 55.
Kozar wide open is Langhorne, and the saving tackle by Dennis Smith. And that appeared to be a breakdown, Merlin. He was all by himself, but he appears to be injured.
He's bouncing back up. He took a real shot in there. One of the questions that was asked in terms of continuity, this Denver defense has made so many changes. Losing Mike Harden, I think, has hurt them. And I think Dennis Smith, the safety, is the man who's supposed to be over there. There he is, but late. Perhaps a recognition error on Smith's part to bring him late into the picture.
29 yards on the play. First down, Denver 33. 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Kozar to Biner. Well thrown. Ernest Biner. Touchdown. Oh, was that a touch play by Kozar? We've seen the power game of Elway. There is the finesse. That's just like a little easy free throw that he tossed up there and led Biner perfectly.
Beautifully done. The other thing that Kozar did very well was to measure the line of scrimmage. He knew exactly how far he could go and how much time he could take without crossing that line to make that an illegal pass. Awareness. Boy, I tell you, that's a nice play for the Cleveland Browns. And Denver's defense can't afford to give this guy much room.
Barr adds the extra point with 6 minutes and 50 seconds left. It was a 32-yard touchdown. Hardly throw that a pass or even a throw, just a little soft jump shot. Colorado, Bernie Kozar with a delicate toss to Biner for a touchdown. And we'll look at it again right after the kickoff as Lee Johnson has it teed up for the Browns. He kicks it to Bell's side of the field. And he fumbles it out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown, Merlin.
Take a peek at it as we watch Biner from his position in the backfield. Just going to work his way up into here. And then at this point, you've got to keep in mind that the line of scrimmage is on the 33, and watch how close Kozar comes before he finally releases that pass. Biner now moving away, Kozar up about on the 31-yard line as he just looped that over the top. Mecklenburg, 77, linebacker there, but that's beautifully done by
fumbled out of bounds. in advance of the spot he fumbled will return the ball to the spot of the fumble,
Oh, they can't
which is
give
the
it
9-yard line.
the advantage on the fumble. You can't fumble forward out of bounds. Of course, that rule a year ago, and so it starts at the 9-yard line. So Kozar stopping it right around the 35, line of scrimmage around the 33, and there was that moment there where Mecklenburg was in a dilemma. He didn't know whether to stop, go up and meet Kozar if he was going to scramble, and as soon as he turned his head, there was Biner to make the catch. So from the 9, the Broncos lead cut to 28-17, and it's Winder. No gain. Let's look at it from another angle, that touchdown. Presence of mind.
Kozar would like to have gone deep with this ball. You saw him looking to his left, but now coming up, awareness, knew where everyone was. And what a nice play. Unspoken communication between Biner and Kozar to make that possible.
Yeah, that's like when you're at basketball, you turn your back on your man, he breaks for the basket, and that old alley-oop. Natil in motion, and they throw to Natil incomplete. And Elway had to hurry because Reggie Camp was on top of him. The Browns suddenly are getting some defensive pressure on Elway in this third quarter.
You really have the sense that perhaps it was too easy for these Broncos. Everything went their way in the first half. Here in the second half, the Browns beginning to establish that rhythm we talked about. It's something that they were able to do during the season. When they get things going, Kozar becomes much more effective.
The Broncos 7 came on that 80-yard pass and run by Mark Jackson on third down. This is 3rd and 9. End zone down the middle, and the hit as Tony Bodie had the ball, but the Browns waited for him to catch it, and then 3 men jarred it free.
Second time today that it would appear that Elway made a bad choice on throwing the pass. Bodie not only well covered, but there were a couple of Cleveland Browns who had a better shot at the football than he did. I think if they'd have gone for the football instead of the tackle, he might have been able to intercept.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter, and Gerald McNeil drops back to his own 40-yard line. Mike Horan to punt.
He doesn't need much to give Cleveland excellent field position here.
Had 2 touchdowns on punt returns this year, called back by penalty. Short. McNeil on the run. And stopped at the 42-yard line. Key to that play was McNeil battling that short punt and catching it on the run.
There's the play I talked about. A couple of Browns right there touching the football as it arrived.
Cleveland has it at the 42 when we return. Kozar begins his drive at the Denver 42. Dumps it on the screen to Mack, and good blocking. And Mack has about 10. Cragen, the nose tackle from behind.
In the Cleveland scheme of things, that is really a running play rather than a pass. They do not run the ball with a sweep very often, but they'll run the backs out with the nice motion and flip them that quick toss and sweep the ball outside that way.
Bob Golick with that injured arm, the cheerleader on the Brown sideline. Each time they come off, he's there with encouragement. 2nd and 1. Oops, movement in the line. And Townsend reacting to it.
Question of whether someone moved Fike, the guard on that side. Paul Farron, and I believe.
Defense, 5 yards.
So no one did move, and Townsend, overzealous, picks up the 5-yard penalty. First down, Cleveland.
Dick, one of the things we have not seen today would be so many offsides calls by the defense against Denver's offense. You remember last week, Houston offsides on defense 6 times as they were apparently being drawn, or said they were being drawn, by Elway's cadence and his motion. A little concern from Dan Reeves here, who feels things turning the opposite direction.
Kozar looking for Slaughter. Juggling catch at the 10-yard line. They say he stepped out at the 12. First down. Boy, that ball was hanging out there, though, very close to an interception going the other way by Wilson.
Slaughter using his speed to run Wilson off and then coming back to the ball, and that's what saves him here. Had he not come back to the football, that one might well have been intercepted.
16 yards to Slaughter on the catch. First down at the 12 with 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. And suddenly Cleveland threatening to make this a battle. Mack. Boy, the way he runs, you'd almost think he was named after the truck. 8 more yards. Played at Clemson on the national championship team a few years ago. 9.5 speed and a 225-pound body.
Already have more yardage here in the second half than they had in all of the first half, and they did not do that badly at moving the football. But the secret here has been good field position and the ability to put it in the end zone.
2nd and 2 at the 4. Biner, touchdown Cleveland. Biner's second score of this third quarter. And the few Cleveland Brown fans tucked way over in the corner down at the goal line on the open end of the stadium are celebrating along with Bob Golick. 28-23 the score. Third touchdown of this third quarter for Cleveland.
Browns have come roaring back, and you've got to sense the kind of confidence it takes from that far back not to lose your enthusiasm, to have the kind of courage to put it back in the end zone and get back into this game.
Now, we talked about the quarterbacks throughout NFL Live and throughout the first half, and these two young men are certainly living up to their responsibility and their press clippings, and now it's Kozar's turn. And the blockers in front of Biner clear the way to make it 28-24. 3 minutes, 45 seconds left in the third. The Colorado Mountains, the Rockies, we get set for the kickoff. The Browns have scored 21 points in this third quarter. The Broncos regulars in the season gave up 21 points or more only 3 times in a game, and have allowed 21 in a quarter. Here the third, and still 3 minutes and 39 seconds left.
Ernest Biner is a money player. Money players know where the goal line is. Watch Biner as he senses where he is.
Pater.
And that's exactly where he wanted to be. Dick, we talked about the contrasts in Kosar and Elway. Let's talk about the similarities. Leadership, the ability to lead their team, to lift the performance. Boy, we are seeing that here today.
With under 19 minutes left in the game, a 4-point contest. Winder flag down as Winder picks up 10, maybe a face mask. Rushing in this game. Now, you never.
Number 99 defense, 5 yards, added to the run. It's the first down.
Again, Sims to the 35. And Merlin, when we talk about. Well, let's go back to the face mask.
Take a quick peek at it. Sims playing for the injured Dave Fazuli. You see him reaching in, getting whatever he could to try and get the tackle, get it stopped. But those penalties are very costly.
Toss, Lang. Read well by Mike Johnson, a gain of a yard or two. What we started to offer, Merlin, was the comment to people at home watching Denver, you never hear about their running game, and it sounds as if it's an all Elway offense. And yet, whenever Denver throughout the season needed the 3 or 4, Winder and Lang didn't fail them very often. They're not that bad a running team.
Certainly aren't. And anytime Elway is back there with the ball in his hands, the threat of the run exists. And of course that makes you think defensively and actually forces you to play differently than you would otherwise play.
Mobley in motion, shotgun. Wide open is Mark Jackson. Breaks another tackle. And finally is out of bounds at the Cleveland 40-yard line. He's got that spin move down pat.
Jackson put a great move on Hanford Dixon. Watch the move. Gets Dixon turned, drives him off the ball, and then lays back on the sideline. Missed tackle right there. And I'll tell you, that has been costly for these Browns today. There was a double missed tackle, a pair of them, by defensive backs that allowed that 80-yard touchdown by Jackson just earlier.
Jackson 113 yards, and he just put an all-pro move on an all-pro cornerback.
That's that fast break football we talked about. Big play offense for the Broncos.
First down. Winder protecting the ball for 3. Lucius Sanford. Number 50 with a tackle played at Georgia Tech. Replaced Chip Banks at that position. Banks traded to San Diego. They had hoped that the rookie Mike Junkin out of Duke would fill that spot. Junkin reported late was injured. And now they wonder whether he'll ever play. Bad wrist injury.
They said, I saw him last night in the hotel, they took the pins out of that wrist, put a new cast on. He said it's a matter of time, but they're confident he's going to be able to come back.
In shotgun on early downs. Ellis on a blitz, they pick it up. Mobley. The giant tight end with a first down, leading to the 29. He's hurt. So is the Cleveland tackler, Harper. That is a mismatch. Harper's 174 pounds, and Mobley's about 274.
Mobley has been described as a 265-pound guard, often used as a blocker, but as a fine athlete. Let's see if we can see what happens at the end of this play. Lucius Sanford, a hit there, and there's the leg doubled up under Harper, but I still could not see what happened to Mobley. Harper's legs doubled underneath him as Mobley was pushed over the top, and Harper's still on the ground holding that knee as Mobley is up. Apparently, he's the least seriously injured of the two.
So we have a timeout with 1:24 left in the third quarter. He's one of the nickel backs defensively, and Mobley takes 3 men to bring him down. It was Mobley's shoulder, and look at Harper just gets crushed underneath all that weight of the tight end.
It looks like Mobley, I think, in that initial hit from Lucius Sanford may have injured that left shoulder a little bit, but Harper was simply crushed by the size of Mobley and may have opened that knee joint up a little bit.
Leading by 4 points, down to the 1-minute mark, third quarter. First down inside the 30 for Elway. Underneath, and Nateel can't hang on. Yeah, he's caught much more difficult shots from Elway. And interested to hear Don Shula's comments at halftime for the great quarterback he has in Marino, who can certainly gun it, but admiring the hands of Nateel and others to be able to pull in those rifle shots of Elway.
The Cleveland defensive backs worked out this week with a ball machine set to high speed so they could get used to those hard throws from Elway.
Working out at Albuquerque at the University of New Mexico during the week to be on the same time zone and same altitude. Elway going for Nateel. Out of the field of play, not a catchable ball, and Minifield really had the inside shut off. They call him Sky. He's only 5'9", if that, but he has a 44-inch vertical leap. That's almost 4 feet from a standing start. He plays tall.
Let's watch the bump and run action, and of course, once Nateel is out of bounds, you saw him step out. He's not allowed to come in and touch that ball. But Minifield, stride for stride, the faster of those two cornerbacks, and he is really a tough one to get open on.
3rd and 10 for Elway.
Big play for this Cleveland defense and for Elway.
Goes to the ground to Bodie, trying to cross him up, and he almost made it. 9 yards for Bodie on the draw to the shotgun.
Now Dan Reeves
sends in the field goal team. That would, if successful, give him a 7-point lead. Reeves, though, has a lot of fakes, punts, field goals. And he himself, of course, in a playoff. Remember in Green Bay, that icy game, it was Reeves on a halfback pass for the Cowboys that gave Dallas a lead they thought would win it in that icy field in Green Bay. Or was that was in County Stadium, Milwaukee?
And it's a quarterback, Kubiak, to hold the ball.
38-yard attempt by Carlos. Straight. Denver leads 31-24. Now, one of the outstanding stops on the golf tour every year here on NBC, the Bob Hope Classic, and they've got all your favorites lined up, including Fuzzy Zeller, and 1987's big money winner Curtis Strange will be there. Favorite of so many, the Army will have a chance to root for Arnold Palmer. All the top pros taking aim at $1 million total prize money next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the Bob Hope Classic from the desert of Southern California. Hope you'll join us on NBC. We also have some fine basketball for you next weekend as you look at Dan Reeves. Kansas at Notre Dame on Saturday, and North Carolina State will be the Sunday game.
You got the sense of the light diminishing here. It's getting colder in this stadium. But I got to tell you that on the Cleveland sideline, there is a bright flame burning. They sense they have the excellent opportunity right here to get themselves back and tie this ball game. Denver's defense not able to be as effective in pressuring Kosar and shutting them down as they were in the first half. I tell you, though, the thing that has to frighten you is to see the number of players who have left this game because of injury. Both coaching staffs scrambling to keep 11 and key 11s on the field.
McNeil, the only deep man for Cleveland, as Carlos kicks it off. Final seconds, third quarter. McNeil's going to return this one, I believe. And the little guy is smothered at the 13. Mitch Andrews downfield, and Bruce Klosterman at the end of the third quarter. Denver by a touchdown will return after these messages from your fourth quarter. Just before he came on the field, Bernie Kosar gets himself ready. Interestingly, Art Modell, when he traded all those number ones to get Kosar, I thought he was Jewish. He was quite happy with his religion and his talent. They start from the 13, a 7-point game. Screen to Mack. And Haynes was able to get through a blocker and trip him up.
There's no rush here. Kosar so level emotionally. And I think it helps him. He just absolutely keeps his cool intact throughout the game. You look at what he has done first half and second half.
How do you like that average, 8 for 8?
I'll tell you. That's turning up the heat when you need it.
2 of them for touchdowns. One, that touch pass to Ernest Biner. Down the middle to Newsom. Knocked away, no flag. Simon Fletcher did a whale of a job, number 73, of getting that arm in the right spot to deny Newsom.
And at the end of this play, Simon Fletcher almost KOs one of his teammates back there. Watch it as Tony Lilly, I believe, 22. Watch Fletcher reach in, but watch right here. The ball is off his helmet. Now, I thought they collided. Lilly just going to the ground. He thought he had an interception.
Third down and 4. Down the middle, Biner's open. Ernest Biner with Lilly to beat. And Lilly finally wrestles him down at the 27-yard line. And Kosar and Biner, the men that Schottenheimer penciled in as his top 2 players. He said those are the last 2 guys I'd ever lose in a trade. And they collaborate again for a big Cleveland play.
The other thing he said, when the going gets tough, we want the ball in the hands of Ernest Biner. 4 wide receivers. They spread the field. They get the good isolation right there on Rick Dennison, 55. That's not a good speed matchup. And Biner showing you how fine a receiver he is. Splits it all the way down to the 27-yard line.
53 yards on the play. 27 yards away from a tying touchdown, the Cleveland Browns. Newsome inside the 20. Ryan and Lilly with a tackle. Well, this one had all the promise, Merlin Olsen, of being a classic matchup. The two best teams of the AFC, Dan Reeves Broncos and the Schottenheimer coached Browns. Elway of the Broncos against Kozar. And yet it started not that way. All Denver, 21-3, and it wasn't that close in the first half. And suddenly, it has gone Cleveland's direction, and the Browns are sitting on a chance to tie it. Second and 2. Mack, a half yard. Townsend, Ryan, Cragen in on the play.
Good play defensively. Denver defense. It will be short considerably of the first down, as they were able to put a lot of bodies in front.
Denver going into this fourth quarter with a lead. They've won 29 in a row when leading going into the final quarter. Last time they were beaten, the Rams in '85. Kozar 10 for 10 in the second half. Looks at 3rd and 2, a long 2. Mack. What an effort by Kevin Mack to the 5-yard line. Oh, my.
You talk about running with power. Mack would not be denied. Watch him run right through Denver's defense on this play. Right, there's one tackle. That's Randy Robbins, 48. A second tackle right there. And finally fell from his own momentum. A great forward body lean as he just propelled his body down to the 5-yard line.
14 tough yards. It's 1st and goal at the 5. Ricky Hundley, 98, made sure there was no daylight. Joe Collier in the orange cap, the defensive wizard of the Broncos. He's puzzled.
He was certainly able to stymie this Cleveland offense in the first half, but here in the second half, Lindy Infante and his Cleveland offense have spread the field. They've gotten themselves into rhythm, and they have moved almost at will against this Denver defense.
11 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Denver leads by a touchdown. Kozar is 10 for 10 in the second half. Out of the hands of Fontenot in the end zone. Well covered by Haynes. First pass that's hit the ground for Cleveland in the second half. Fontenot was close to making a shoestringer.
Substitutions onto the field as we watch Kosar unloading that ball at the last second.
Yeah, that was a great throw.
Well, I'll tell you, it's right there where only Fontenot had the chance at the football, and he had it briefly, but the collision with the ground bounced it away. 3rd and goal. 4 wide receivers.
Underneath to Slaughter for a touchdown.
We talked about the similarities in these two quarterbacks. Great accuracy from both of them, and that ball thrown perfectly on the timing pattern before the break, and Slaughter takes it for the touchdown. Kosar perhaps answering, what can we do to answer the drive of last year that kept us from going to the Super Bowl? We got to put a few drives together of our own, and that one was most impressive.
An 87-yard drive. This to tie it. 31 apiece.
Watch how accurately that ball is thrown. The ball in the air right there. Again, the timing pattern thrown down and away where only the receiver had a shot at that football.
Potter. Touchdown tying grab, not unlike Mark Jackson's catch on a similar pattern that ended that 1st and 98 drive of Denver to tie it in Cleveland a year ago. And we're tied at 31 with 10:45 left. Ken Bell to the 20. Here's the time touchdown.
Let's watch Curtis Weathers on the outside. Here's the man right here who will go inside to open things at Clarence Weathers. Now watch the little hesitation here, and then the drive inside by Slaughter. But Webster will just wait until the area is clear, and then as soon as he can drive inside, the ball is in the air. Well, that is pretty execution.
Elway, who has been ahead the whole game till now. Looking for Sewell, instead goes to Mark Jackson, and he has a first down at the 42 as Denver's Elway trying to answer Cleveland's Kozar. And it was Elway last year in Cleveland's Municipal Stadium who capped that remarkable drive of 98 yards with this touchdown throw to Mark Jackson that tied the game, forced the overtime. And again, it was Jackson lined on the left, slanting into the end zone, a diving catch almost in the same spot.
Exactly the same kind of pass, too. The safe one thrown down low where only the receiver could dig it out.
History does repeat itself. Winder slamming forward near midfield. A gain of 6 for Winder. Mike Johnson with a tackle.
This has really been a day for offenses to strut their stuff, and two very fine defenses not able to slow things down a great deal.
Barring overtime, we're 9 minutes and 38 seconds from San Diego. The Redskins await the winner. Sewell straightened by David Grayson, a rookie at linebacker from Fresno State. Number 56.
Grayson, one of those replacement players that stayed along after the strike. Second half yardage. Look at what the Browns have been able to do. The Broncos certainly not shabby in what they've accomplished, but huge yardage for Kozar and the Browns to bring them back into this game. And how many teams could survive the confidence breaks that this Cleveland Brown team had in the first half?
Third down and a short 3. Quarterback draw. Doesn't work. Stopped at the 49, a yard short. And the man who made the play is the man who is playing in the third string position at nose tackle, Darrell Sims. Bob Golick, the Pro Bowler, hurt. His replacement today, Pazzulli, injured. And here's Sims.
Sims making perhaps his biggest play of the day as he gets a piece of Elway and enough to pull him to the ground. Golick, I think, on that sideline is going to say, hey, come on over here. I'm going to give you a hug. He wants to have his chance at playing in the Super Bowl. And he knows that he can't do anything except cheer on that sideline and perhaps help Sims, who has got to be getting awful tired out there after having not played a great deal. You see Golick right there. A little support, a little encouragement. And Dick, one of the things that happens to you when you've not played a great deal, you really aren't in condition to play as much as Sims has had to play in this game.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
You're watching Colorado's news channel, KCNC-TV Channel 4, Denver.
With Merlin Olsen, this is Dick Enberg at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. 76,000 plus cheer the hometown Denver Broncos to an impressive 21-3 lead at halftime. In the second half, a 21-point third quarter against Dan Reeves' defense as Bernie Kozar and the Browns came to life. And after Denver had regained an advantage of a touchdown, The Cleveland Browns have gone 86 yards on a drive here in the fourth quarter to tie it at 31.
And Dan Reeves has sent his offensive team back onto the field at 4th and 1. And just inside of Cleveland territory, he's going to take a most interesting gamble.
Cleveland called a time. They thought a fake was in the works, and now here's that pooch punt by Elway off the side of his foot.
Not a good one. It's coming back
to the 32-yard line. Let's go back to the timeout. That might have been a very critical play. We believe that Dan Reeves had Gary Kubiak, the backup quarterback, on the field, and that a possible fake kick was in the works, but Cleveland saw Kubiak and called time. And then Reeves settled for the pooch punt, which had worked earlier this season from Elway.
Consultant to Super Bowl 22.
And Kozar hitting Kevin Mack over the middle out to the 37-yard line with 8 minutes remaining in the game. And one of the reasons why that play started before we were ready to complete our commercial message was that with the injury to one of the officials, we've lost that contact. We're sorry if we didn't have it completely. Jerry Seaman, a referee, normally doesn't do that. That isn't one of his responsibilities as a referee. He's in a different officiating position. Nevertheless, 2nd and 5. Kozar going for a bundle, and he's got Slaughter in the clear and overshoots him. Oh. Steve Wilson had Slaughter slipping behind him.
Kozar, no lack of arm strength there. That ball in the air about 50-55 yards. He is a touch passer, but he can get it downfield. He'll put it up high to do it. As you see the clock, right-hand side of your screen. 3rd down, 5 yards to go. Look at the numbers for Kozar in the second half of this ball game.
Brennan was responsible for one of the turnovers of the first half as he fumbled after a reception. Little guy from Boston College who idolizes Steve Largent.
He does have those Largent-type moves and those strong hands. He is such a reliable receiver. Finding the open spot. Good pass. Again by Kozar. Dick, I was watching Larry Williams on that play. A badly sprained ankle. He's in there. Ricosi has moved to center. Boy, I tell you, they're playing their hearts out on that Cleveland offensive line.
A good point. Ricosi's been there almost the entire game. The rookie from Miami of Florida. Mack cut off by Jim Ryan. Good play by Ryan. The smallest of the linebackers of the Denver Broncos. They list him at 218. Plays with great intelligence out of William and Mary, the dean of the defense.
And one of the things you notice being around both of these teams, some great athletic talent, but both of these teams obviously picking their talent with an eye to intelligence and, of course, to character. Look at those possessions by the Browns here in the second half, what they've been able to do.
4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. The game started Elway, 3 possessions. First 3 tries, they scored 3 touchdowns.
The blitz is on.
And the long pass downfield is knocked away brilliantly by Haynes. Brennan had touchdown written on that one as he had slipped deep. But Mark Haynes saves it for Denver.
Some confusion there as Webster Slaughter brought his man right into the end of that play. Unusual to see 2 receivers in this Cleveland offense bumping together as you look from the reverse angle. Slaughter will come from this side of the screen, and you see right there, I think if he had stayed away, Jeremiah Castile, number 28, I believe, was the man who made the play, and he would not have been there.
That's right. On the replay, Castile perhaps more than Haynes responsible for saving the touchdown. Fourth quarter, 31 all. 3rd and 11. Biner on the sidelines.
Oh, great hands.
But well short of a first down at the 47.
Biner lost his feet on the sideline, still able to catch that ball, but not able to pick up the first down. And Denver's defense rising to the occasion here And this crowd that kind of felt cheated last week didn't feel like they were given a complete game, or certainly getting their money's worth here today.
Lee Johnson, who has kicked well today, although not so well since being acquired from Houston. Casey Clark at the 10. End over end and short.
Not a good kick.
Clark ran out of bounds at the 23-yard line. A 38-yard punt, 8 yards on the return. Rich Carlos, the place kicker for the Denver Broncos. He missed earlier from 50 yards. Made a shorter kick, anticipating his role. Super Bowl on the line. Cleveland 31, Denver 31. And the Broncos start from their 25 with 5 minutes, 14 seconds left. Teal at midfield.
What a great pattern and what a great throw. Natil one-on-one on Hanford Dixon, taking him downfield. The ball is in the air. Natil breaks to the sideline, and there's the football. Boy, that's a great play. Again, credit to the offensive line of these Broncos, who gave Elway the time to get that ball downfield.
Winder meets Sam Clancy and company.
You almost have the feeling, Dick, that the team that's going to win this game is going to have their ball the ball in their hand for the last drive. As this game has really unfolded with some flair. Denver owning the first half, and the Browns really coming back to get their licks in the second half.
Going deep for Natil. Felix Wright, the deep man. Ball overthrown by the strong-armed Elway.
Dick, just an observation is in last week's game, Denver-Houston, there were plays equally as devastating to Houston as the plays that Cleveland faced early in this game. You watch that long pass by Elway. But Cleveland seems to have a much greater confidence, a much greater ability to bounce back from the depression of that first half. I think a fragile confidence on the part of Houston kept them from being able to come back in that game. You've got to admire what Cleveland has done when things went so sour for them in the first half to come back and tie this game at 31 all.
We need 7 for a first down. Natil will get more net to the 21-yard line.
Natil and Jackson, the two remaining amigos, getting their licks in today. As you look into the eyes of Elway, oh, that ball, you couldn't take it out there and hand it any better to Natil.
They spotted at the 20-yard line with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. Natil has 5 catches, 95 yards. Timeout, Denver.
Some confusion. Elway stepped back to talk to Gene Lang. Rather than take the penalty, he'll take the timeout.
So each team has spent 1 timeout in the second half. Miami to a national championship as a freshman, redshirt freshman. John Elway, the #1 player picked in '83 in the year of the quarterback draft. Picked by the Colts, didn't want to play there, and Denver made the deal to bring him here to the Mile High City. After our game, NFL Live, we'll get the comments from the winners and the losers, and then our usual NBC lineup in its entirety. Our House, Family Ties, My Two Dads, and the Sunday night movie Crash Course. Somehow that seems prophetic, the title of that movie for Sunday night. Rich Carlos. Now, Dan Reeves, we asked him what he told his team in the Friday pep talk. He said, I gave him a pep talk on Friday. Said, I'm not much at that, but what I showed them was Rich Carlos's field goal in overtime last year. I showed him that videotape, and I said, I want you to feel the joy you experienced last year when you won it. Take that into the game with you on Sunday. Well, this may be the time, although it's first down at the 20. Touchdown! The Duke has delivered, and it'll be Bernie Kosar with 4 minutes left to get his chance as Carlos attempts the extra point. Denver 38, Cleveland 31.
Just a little screen for Sammy Winder. You let the defensive lineman go through. Winder hides momentarily, and now Winder does his thing. Good running, a missed tackle there, a second missed tackle. Minifield, the second man to miss him. This Cleveland defense has been hurt badly by missed tackle. There's a little mud walk right there. Elway saying, we have the confidence to bring it down the field. Boy, they've proven it. And now Kosar gathering with his troops on the sideline with their opportunity to bring it up the field.
Last year, Bernie Kosar had thrown a touchdown pass to Brian Brennan at Municipal Stadium, and the Browns fans thought they had a championship, only to see Elway and the drive 98 yards to tie and then win in overtime. Well, Kosar here in Denver, the situation totally reversed. He's now the visitor, and he will have to rally from 7 points down. And we have seen he has the talent to do it. It took Elway only 1 minute and 13 seconds to drive his team 75 yards, 5 plays. Winder 20 yards for the touchdown that gave the Broncos a 38-31 lead. A grand climax to the American Football Conference season. And the prize will either go to that man, John Elway, or Cleveland's Bernie Kosar. McNeil to the 25. When you're a kid and you grow up some 70 miles from Cleveland as a Browns fan, you dream about certain opportunities. We all did it in our youth, put ourselves in the position of our heroes. Bernie Kosar grew up a Cleveland Brown fan. We said earlier, only 1 year old when Frank Ryan was the quarterback, and the Browns won the National Football League title, beating the Colts 27-0. Now it's his turn to rally Cleveland. Up the middle, Biner. And he has 20 to make that 16 yards on a blast that opened quickly.
Cleveland continues to mix their plays well, in particular here in the second half. And we talked about rhythm. We talked about getting things hammering. They still want to play that physical game. Biner, a physical money player. They took advantage of him there and got it outside of their own 40 and moving in.
again to Biner. Freddie Gilbert, number 90. He too was injured during the course of the season, only to come back. Michael Brooks, a rookie from LSU, and on the tackle. At the 3-minute mark.
Too many men on the field, and they're sending Mack off. They had 12 men.
30-second clock at 4. Kozar underneath to Brennan. Ducks in with a first down at the 44 of Denver. 14 yards on the play.
What an alert play by Marty Schottenheimer. You saw him. He counted the number of players out there, waved off Evan Mack. Brennan doing a good job working there on Dennis Smith. Same matchup that scored their touchdown to tie that game last year.
2 minutes and 10 seconds. Kozar to Brennan again to the 24-yard line at the 2-minute timeout. The Cleveland Browns are 24 yards away from tying it again in Denver. Redskins in San Diego. John Elway took his team downfield in just a little over a minute to regain the lead at 38-31, and now Bernie Kozar, trying to answer, has taken the Browns to the Denver 24 with a first down and 2 minutes left. You know, Merlin, Sam Weiss, the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, who had to face Kozar twice this year, said he's like a tennis player that always gets the ball back. No matter what you do, he just knocks it back on your side of the net, and that's just how Kozar has played the Bronco defense today.
Those statistics will give you a feeling for what these two great quarterbacks have done today. We started talking about the contrasts and the similarities, but the one thing that jumps at you, results. These two guys are great winners. What a pair to Rogers.
Before the snap, the charge by Andre Townsend. He was called earlier.
Encroachment, defense,
and
number
gets it
61,
second
5 yards.
5-yard penalty to the 19. The pressures of the entire year resting in the final 2 minutes of a game, or maybe overtime. Merlin Olsen, can you possibly share with us what's going on down there? You were there.
I got to tell you, the one thing that keeps you calm is a leader like a Kozar and Elway, and their confidence in that huddle. It's apparent that they just take charge out there.
Biner. And appears to have a first down or close to, as Dennison and Smith make the tackle.
Cleveland is not a trapping team, but that was a trap in behind Dan Fike, 6'7", 280-pound guard. The adjustment by the money man, Biner, who just took it outside and picked up that first down.
At the 13-yard line. 38-31 Denver. To Biner. Oh, he was lucky he didn't collide with that upright of the goalpost.
Again, a very accurate pass, and we mentioned Biner's abilities as both catcher and blocker and runner. You've seen that today. Look how well thrown this pass is. Well, he would have been out. He would have been out of that end zone, but with those with three defenders right on top of him, that's the only place that pass had a chance of being completed.
2nd and 10.
Offsides Denver.
Incomplete, intended for Langhorne. In essence, a free down for Kozar.
On the right side, it appeared either Mecklenburg or Jones, eager to get across, stepped across the line.
That'll bring up 2nd and 5 with a penalty and 1 minute 12 seconds left.
Just a word about this Denver defense. The pressure tremendous on them right at this moment. trying to protect this
Number
lead.
77, defense in the neutral zone, offside.
Mecklenburg
Second
eager
down.
to come in on that particular play. Dan Reeves on the sideline, angry. Boy, you don't want to make a mistake in that kind of critical situation. But this Denver defense traditionally makes so many big plays in critical conditions and down near their own goal line. These are the toughest yards in football right here.
Draw to Biner. Ernest Biner.
Fumble.
Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh, my. Or have they? Let's wait for the official to unpile them.
There's a war going on under that stack.
There it is. Denver's ball at the 2-yard line. Biner had the 1st and goal and lost the ball.
Denver's defense, as I mentioned, so often in the past, coming up with the big play, with the turnover, stripping the ball. What a heartbreak for Biner, who had picked up the 1st down, who was ready to take it into the end zone. Oh. The air goes out of the Cleveland team, the Cleveland sideline.
To see how he was dislodged from the football as Denver takes over just outside their 2-yard line, and they'll be trying to protect the football. Elway figures that's the safest way. Now let's go back to the fumble as Cleveland calls time with 1 minute and 1 second left.
The same play we saw moments ago. Jeremiah Castile, number 28, reaching in to strip that ball away. This Denver defense trained to reach at that football, to try to force those turnovers. They led the AFC this year in turnovers. There is Jeremiah Castile doing what he was trained to do, tearing the heart out of Cleveland's offense.
Biner, who had picked up the 1st down, had ball out away from his body, and Castile, a reject from Tampa Bay, acquired on waivers by the Broncos, not only stripped it, but recovered it, and the biggest play of his football life. Kozar did everything right. He got the ball to the man that they want to have it, as we've talked about during the course of this day, Ernest Biner. And he's still the leader, even in this moment of tremendous pain.
Osar made his drive, took it down the field. What must be going through his mind right now?
Doesn't figure Elway will take any chances. And offside Cleveland. Against the Redskins, Denver did not play them this year. In '86, Denver won 31-30. I imagine our friends at ABC would take a score about like that. Not necessarily who would win, but something that exciting. And this one almost proved to be the match of that, 38-31, and Cleveland denied on what would have been at least the 1st down at the 2-yard line on the fumble by Biner, going in to tie it up. Two cities football crazed, and how unkind it is for the fans of Cleveland again.
Just flashing back to our pregame show, Paul McGuire asked to assess this game, said it's not going to be a blowout. And after the 1st half, everyone was shaking their head and saying, oh yeah, oh yeah. He also said that it would come down to a turnover, and that Denver would win this game by 3 points. It won't be 3, Paul, but that was not a bad call.
last timeout has been used by Cleveland. Our director, Ted Nathanson, and our producer, Larry Cirillo, will tell the story better than our words now.
Lindy and Fonte. Great respect. A lot of love on that Houston, or on the Cleveland sideline, and a lot of pride.
Kozar had just given Biner a hug. Now the presence of the leader at 24 is that this isn't the end of your football life. You've already have to start planning on next year. You don't go over there and sit on the end of the bench and be alone now if you're going to run the ship.
You've got to remember the great plays that Biner made to help his team to get back into this game today.
And it's Denver's time this final minute. And now may not even need a final snap because Cleveland cannot call timeout, or can they? Officials have called time.
They're going to measure for the first down, which will stop the clock.
So one more snap, and Dan Reeves will return to the Super Bowl. The first time that an AFC team has repeated as champion since the Pittsburgh Steelers did it in '78 and '79 and won their third and fourth Super Bowls. The Broncos and the Redskins. We wish our friends at ABC Sports a terrific Super Bowl game, and this will be one of those where there isn't going to be a heavy favorite, and we will be around on Super Bowl Sunday as well. We hope that you'll join us for the Senior Skins game. The great names of golf. Chichi is trying to pick up where he left off in '87, and then DePaul and North Carolina State basketball. We invite you to include us in your Super Bowl Sunday.
Elway just short of the first down.
Well, so with that, Gerald McNeil, perhaps the most dangerous kick returner in the game, will get a chance to return one.
Or we'll have an attempt to block the kick one way or another. Or Elway may decide to run it out, go to the back of the end zone.
Take the safety and have a...
I think that's more logical in this situation. Let the clock wind down.
Is at 43, so they can not the full 30 seconds there, but or maybe they will take it all the way to 13.
Jim Tunney standing alongside of Elway, and Elway says, "Okay, let's wind it down that far.
Now let's be certain of what we do." You've got to figure that the block kick is a better chance than a kick return for a touchdown. On the other hand, with only 13 seconds and Elway's ability to run around, he might just go back into his own end zone and take the safety, trying to kill out the time.
I don't think I've been around two better prepared football teams, and I'm sure that even this is something they've thought about and considered and weighed the opportunities and the alternatives of.
No, but Mike Horan, the punter, is on. That still doesn't answer the questions, because Horan himself could take the safety. What is interesting is that Cleveland has given us a first clue. It won't be a McNeil return. They don't have him in there.
Not out there.
11 men.
Not there.
This is hockey's answer to pulling the goaltender and getting the extra man on the ice. 11 men after Horan.
Keith Bishop to make the snap. Oh, not a good one.
And
there's the safety.
Making sure he didn't fumble with 8 seconds left. 2 more for Cleveland to make the score 38-33, and the free kick will come from the 20. So McNeil will get his chance on the free kick. The Browns with a key weapon here in McNeil, and of course Denver will probably avoid McNeil.
You may even see a pooch punt here, because obviously you want to put that ball in the hands of somebody you can catch up with.
Just skid one down the middle and hope that it doesn't wind up in the hands of the talent of McNeil.
Now, this is the kind of situation where you may see something crazy. You may see a ball thrown all the way across the field. It's legal to throw a pass on a kick if you throw it laterally. We do know one thing. We're 8 seconds away from the end of this game.
It's interesting here at the end of a season for one of these teams and the Super Bowl on the line that the man that Cleveland hopes gets the ball is the smallest man in professional football, 142-pound Gerald McNeil.
We saw him last year in the final game in Cleveland. He was 137 pounds then. Room in this game for anybody who's got a big enough heart. He's proven that. Schottenheimer talking to Jim Tunney on the far sideline about something.
Stay with us, NFL Live. We'll have a complete report. We'll go right up to 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then the usual Sunday night programming. Horan on the field with a free kick. McNeil.
The clock will begin as soon as the foot touches the football. So those 8 seconds, those precious final seconds for these Cleveland Browns will evaporate quickly.
Well, unless there's a penalty, it's a one-play chance for Cleveland.
Hey, come on.
38-33 Denver. All of this drama set up by Ernest Biner's fumble at the 2-yard line with Cleveland going in for a possible tying touchdown. 4 turnovers to 1 will be a key statistic. They're going to give McNeil a chance.
Wow.
It did not start with a kick, but when the ball was caught, 1 second used. Now, had that ball been a short punt and a fair catch, then you're allowed a free kick and could, of course, the field goal wouldn't do you any good anyway. So Kozar's got one desperation throw left.
I don't know if he's got enough arm to throw it all the way into that Denver end zone. And I want to tell you, there are some defensive backs that are going to put a lot of yardage between themselves and Bernie Kosar. I mean, they're starting at about 20 yards in depth, and they'll back up from there. Denver with just 3 linemen on the field. Dennis Smith is back to us. He's 35, 40 yards back. They're going to change the clock here because apparently the clock did not move appropriately as the ball was kicked.
So no 007 here. There's going to be a few seconds.
The fair catch ball. No time should elapse on the clock. It should be 8 seconds.
It's 8 seconds. Okay.
Well,
Please set the clock to 8 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Prolonging the agony, or is there a miracle on that Cleveland sideline? You can see the depth already, and Dennis Smith is even farther out of your picture than the Broncos you see. He's all the way inside his 35.
3 wide receivers to the right.
Almost requires a pass and lateral.
Brennan, I think, caught the ball. No, he's out of bounds.
And Denver's Broncos will go to the Super Bowl for the second year. Patrick Boland, the owner of the Broncos, embracing his coach. And for the Cleveland Browns, Art Modell in his 27th year as the owner of the Browns, another disappointment. And the play, unfortunately, from the Cleveland side that will be remembered in a game of so many positives will be this one. Ernest Biner inside the 5. Looking for a possible touchdown. He had the first down. It would have been first and goal once inside that 5. Jeremiah Castile rips it away and falls on it. And with that, Denver repeats as AFC champion, led by John. Last year, he rallied his team in Cleveland to tie and then win. This year, from a tie, he drove his team to a winning touchdown. Our most valuable player award, sponsored by Budweiser, to John Elway of the Denver Broncos, and sharing that with Bernie Kosar, who did everything a quarterback might want to do in such a big game. Kosar and Elway, co-MVPs. Budweiser, a contributor to the United Way on behalf of both. We'll be back after these messages.
Just over 4 minutes to play at Mile High Stadium. The third of John Elway's touchdown passes to Sammy Winder, who slips a couple of tackles and goes in to complete the 20-yard play, gives the Broncos the 38-31 lead. Then Bernie Kosar tries to patch together his version of the drive. It could have been the drive to Ernest Biner, who excelled all day, might have been going in. But what a way for it to end for Cleveland. Jeremiah Castile both dislodges the ball and recovers it, the agony on the face of Marty Schottenheimer. The final, the Broncos to the Super Bowl again, 38-33 over the Browns, who are denied by the narrowest of margins for the second consecutive year. This is the Budweiser NFL Report, brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. Bob Costas back, along with Don Shula and Paul McGuire. First item of business here. Our house, we regret to inform you, will not be seen in the Eastern and Central time zones because of the length of the game in a house of thrills called Mile High Stadium. And Don, well, it may be small solace now. Eventually, the Browns and their fans will realize there is probably more honor and glory to be taken from this defeat than in most victories you'll see. What a marvelous performance in the second half.
It's going to be tough to live with this because they did come back. They scored the first 4 times that they had the football in the second half. And, of course, Elway brought Denver back and put them ahead for good. But to get the drive going like they had it going and knowing that they could move the ball down the field, Biner is in for the touchdown, but the ball comes loose. I just feel so bad for Cleveland, and it's a great, great win for Denver.
Bernie Kosar, 26 of 41, 356 yards, 3 touchdowns. At halftime, I said it would take a miracle comeback. Mea culpa. Only a great comeback. If the Browns had done it, it would not have been a miracle. It would have been a tribute to their coach and to their team. They never gave up.
Now, Bernie Kosar, I talked to him in the hotel even this morning, and Bernie said, I really feel comfortable. I know what I have to do, and I know what I can do. This game, Bob, was everything that every single person in America had expected it to be, a great football game. And the one thing about Ernest Biner, no matter what the players say to him, there isn't anything that a coach can say to this guy. He has to live with this for the rest of this year until next year, and that's a tough thing for any man to do.
So much for the Cleveland postmortem. We'll focus on the happiness of the Broncos and their fans when we come back. We just spoke with Danny Sheridan, the odds maker for the USA Today. The Super Bowl opens at 3. The Broncos are a 3-point favorite over the Skins. AFC for the 3rd time, for the 2nd time in a row. They're favored to win the Super Bowl for the 1st time in their history. Let's go to their locker room now. Ahmad Rashad is there for the presentation of the trophy. Ahmad?
All right, Bob, a very happy locker room here. For the 2nd consecutive year in a row, Mr. Lamar Hunt will present the championship trophy to Pat Bowen.
Ahmed, I want to say one quick word about the Browns. They were sensational. It was a wonderful effort, but this is habit forming here for the Broncos. The third AFC Championship and now the third trip to the Super Bowl. And my congratulations to Pat Bowlen, Dan Reeves, and the Broncos.
Thanks, Lamar.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thanks, Maude. You know, as I said last year, my heart goes out to the Cleveland Browns. They were a heck of a football team, a very good football team, and I'm just happy that we're here. But I want Art Modell and the Cleveland Browns to know that they're a great organization, and we'd like to play them anytime, and the game's entertaining as today.
All right, congratulations, you and your organization. Dan, boy, I'm telling you, had to be in a roller coaster of emotions out there, huh?
Well, I feel numb, really and truly. As Pat said, I know the Cleveland Browns feel terrible and saying that they're a great football team, but I was really impressed that Bernie Kosar was, you know, he had us holding our breath, and, you know, just except for a fumble, the good Lord smiled on us, and why I don't know, but, you know, I'm glad he did. We got a chance now to go back and hopefully play better in the Super Bowl than we did last year, and hopefully bring a world championship here to Denver.
On Kosar's last drive, you had to be thinking that maybe this was the drive in reverse from last year.
Well, I looked up at the clock. They had about 4 minutes. They got good field position, and the way they had been moving the ball, I think we'd only stopped them one time in the second half. So they were moving down, and then all of a sudden it looked like it was going to be a touchdown, and I don't know, Tony Lilly or somebody hit him and knocked the ball loose, and, you know, just got to feel awful lucky.
It's been only minutes for this one right here, but have you thought about watching it?
I haven't had time. I'll tell you, this was a tough football game. I just hope that, you know, we get the same type of game in the Super Bowl.
All right, congratulations, Coach. John Elway.
Here you go, Johnny.
Congratulations, man. You talked all week about being excited about playing a big game like this. Could it be more exciting?
No, I tell you, after the first half when we played well, and then the Browns just kept coming and coming, and really put some pressure on us in the second half, and defense hung in there and got the big turnover at the end.
At one point, you probably thought that the game was closed when you hit Jackson with that ball. He went 80 yards.
Yeah, you know, I think that the last thing I wanted to do was throw an interception coming in the second half, and that's exactly what I did, and so then I wanted to just make something happen, and I actually guessed a little wrong on the route, and Mark just got rid of the ball. He came back to me and did a great job from there. He just made a great move there, and it was off to the races.
All right, congratulations, man. I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure you enjoyed it more than I did.
I'm enjoying it now that it's over. I tell you, it was a little nerve-wracking there at the time.
All right, we'll be back with more after these words.
All right, we're back at Mile High Stadium. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen, who did such a fine job calling the game, probably one of the most memorable they've worked. They've got final thoughts. Fellas?
Thank you, Bob. So our AFC season is over. Good luck in your new series, and your thoughts. You've been on both sides of that field emotionally.
I have an emotion, I think, the key to the day. And Dan Reeves, talking to us yesterday, said the thing he remembered about playoff games, and he's been in 11 more than I have, but I remember, too, the losses were the most vivid. And then it occurred to me that some of those losses that Dan Reeves was remembering were wins for my team. The feeling on both sides of the field, so incredibly different. For Cleveland, difficult to remember all the good things they did today. All of the big plays, an incredible comeback by Kosar, and such great courage, and with so many injuries. And yet on the other side of the field, some mistakes for Denver, all of which can be pushed aside and forgotten in the joy of winning.
What I like about sports is that empathy is a quality I most admire in man, feeling for the other man. You saw Kosar with Biner, and then grown men here feeling for each other in a moment of triumph. Bowlen and Reeves of Denver. Bob?
Dick, thank you very much. Both games, both conference championships ending with the losing team striving to tie and possibly force an overtime, running out of gas inside the 10. All right, we're back. Don Shula, Paul McGuire, Bob Costas. Don, your thoughts as we wrap things up.
Well, this gives Dan Reeves and the Denver Broncos an opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl and to get it done this year. Last year, they were ahead in the Super Bowl, 10-9 at halftime, and then the Giants came back and had the great second half. They worked all year long to get into this situation. They won when they had to win. The disappointment for Cleveland, knowing that they had a chance to win and didn't win, they're going to have to live with that.
Paul McGuire, Danny Sheridan told us, and this may change as the bets pour in around the country in the 2 weeks prior to the game, but he tells us right now the Broncos are a 3-point favorite. Agree with that?
I agree, and I think it'll stay at 3 points, and I've been an AFC man all my life, and this game, the Super Bowl game, will be won by the Denver Broncos, and it's not going to be close. I think the Denver Broncos are going to win this one big.
Paul, thank you very much. We really enjoyed having Don Shula and Gail Gardner join us for the playoffs, but my special thanks to my main men throughout the year, my partners, Paul McGuire and Ahmad Rashad, to John Filippelli and his entire staff on NFL Live. In a sense, it was a flawed season in the NFL, all the talk about the strike and about money. But in the end, it comes down to what happens on the field, the drama. There were 90 hearts out there, plus the coaches, every one of those hearts full of try this afternoon. It wound up this evening.
South stands. Thank you for joining us. The Broncos, for the second straight year, are AFC champions via their 38-33 win over the Cleveland Browns. A roller coaster afternoon. The Broncos jumping out to a big lead in the first half, holding on in the second half, and then a key defensive play sealing the victory for them in the final minutes of the game. As you can see and hear behind me, several hundred Bronco fans remain, having watched the pregame show on NBC, and they are now here cheering their team on to what they assume will be a Super Bowl victory in San Diego in 2 weeks. We're going to go live. We're going to show you a picture of the city of Denver from Copter 4, a city that is celebrating incredibly right now, as you must understand. That is Mile High Stadium. Fans are still streaming out of the stadium throughout the city of Denver. The celebrations go on. The folks anxiously awaiting the Broncos' return visit to the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl which we are now understanding that the Broncos are favored to win. If you ask the fans, of course, they will tell you their Broncos will win in this season of injury, of a strike, and countless other hardships. We will now go live to Stephen Clark, who is standing right outside the gates of Mile High Stadium, and he's with some more Bronco maniacs. Stephen, take it away.
Hi, Peter. How you doing? The Broncos going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah!
All right, Peter, you were right. They are favored to win. As you can see, a lot of Bronco fans in a state of euphoria outside the south gates here. This is going to be a little tough. I did see some Cleveland fans coming out early with some suggestions on how their team may have been able to win the game. That didn't happen. The fans are here. You know, Peter, early in the game, it looked like Cleveland was going to adopt a strategy of getting the fans out of the game by putting them to sleep. Well, it almost worked. Came out second half, came back around. Of course, the fans got back into the gym at the very end of that game. As you can see, they're very, very happy. And real quickly, I have Tom standing by. Where's Tom? Tom, right here. You made a bet. What bet was that?
I bet my hat versus this Cleveland Browns towel, and this towel's staying in Denver.
All right, so we have a winner here. All right, we're going to go right now live to the locker room with Ron Zappolo standing by. Ron?
It's us. Okay, thanks very much. Ron Zappolo in the Denver Bronco locker room. I am with longtime offensive tackle Dave Studdard. You're on your way to the Super Bowl. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a close one, but I think it was a deserved win. That felt we should have won the ball game. Got a little shaky there in the third and fourth quarter, but we won it, so that's all I can do is say congratulations to myself.
Dave, the game almost defied description. Can you explain to me, can you analyze what happened?
Well, I'll tell you, in the first half, defense did a heck of a job. They gave us some good turnovers. We went in and scored. We got a running game established. We were up 18 points in the first half. We came out. We knew we had to do the same type of thing in the second half. We got bad field position. I'm not blaming on that, but we had bad field position. We threw a pick. We gave them a punt on our own 40. You can't give them that kind of field position and expect to win. Defense shut them down. We came back and scored when we had to, and they shut them down at the last. And I prayed for that fumble and down here on the 4, and it happened.
Just like that, you just prayed for it and that happened.
Well, I called them pretty much. At one time I said we need a pick, and we got a pick, and I said we need a fumble, and we got a fumble. So I called 2 out of the many turnovers that we had today.
Game's tied at 31. You really hadn't moved it well except for the one long pass in the second half. What was it like in the huddle with 5:14 to go, knowing you had to go the length of the field?
Well, the thing about it was we said there was no doubt that we couldn't score. It was just a matter of saying we need to run the clock out down to about 30 seconds, and we went down and scored in a minute. We wanted to run more time off, take the pressure off the defense, and we didn't do it, but we did score.
Can you appreciate the brilliance of Kozar in the second half?
Hey, the guy came out and played a heck of a job on the second half. He was kind of shaky. I think the fans shook him up a little bit the first half, but hey, the guy's good. He's a high caliber quarterback, and you know, a guy like that, he's gonna win him a lot of games at Cleveland.
You're a 3-point favorite over the Redskins 2 weeks from today.
I ain't gonna worry about that till the time comes. They're a good ball club. Just have to wait and see what kind of game plan we'll have against them, and go out there and try to put two halves back to back like we did. You know, we put the first half back in the Super Bowl last year, and we need to get two halves together. If we can do that, I think we can win.
Before you run, Dave, can you compare this feeling to the feeling you had a year ago at this time?
Well, after your second time, it's not a big feeling, but I'll sure take it. No, it's a great feeling. I think everybody, as hard as we worked, all the controversy this team went through the years with the injuries, I think we all deserve it very well.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Ron,
for coming over.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Dave Studdard had a fine ball game today. Greg Cragen is here. Greg, congratulations.
Thank you, Ron. It was just an unbelievable game, obviously, and I don't think it's sunk in exactly what's happened at the end. It's incredible.
It was incredible. Let me start by the first half. You totally had them bottled up. What were you doing in the first half to prevent Cleveland from moving the football?
I don't know. I think maybe they just hadn't made the adjustments that they needed to do to stop us, and we were playing our game well, and I think the second half they came out and made the adjustments and started maybe hitting the backs and that type of thing. That's where they're getting a lot of the yards, hitting their backs out of the backfield, and they found that.
But you stopped them next to last time and then caused the fumble. So obviously you still had enough confidence to know you could make a big play when you had to.
Yeah, and it seems like we're always doing that late in the game when we're home. There's a big crowd, and guys are always rising to the occasion. And it was at the last second this time, but Jeremiah came in and made that play, so it was just incredible.
What were your feelings about Kozar in the second half?
The guy was unconscious. I mean, he was hitting everything. Guys were hitting him as he was throwing the ball, and he was laying it up perfect. And I was just hoping we could outscore him. That was the thing in the second half. Just after they started getting a couple drives on us, things weren't looking too good for us.
And all the time this week, when you visualized this game, when you thought about this game, did you ever visualize anything more unusual than what reality turned out to be?
No way. And especially after the first half when we were up by so many points, I thought, well, we'll just at least keep even with them in the second half, score as many as they will, and it'll be a pretty easy game for us. But just incredible turn of events.
How important is it now not to get too high right now, knowing that you still have some work at hand and you don't want the season to end the way it did a year ago?
Right. I think we're going to enjoy this, and we're really concentrating on the fact we lost last year, and we'll settle down and get to work here in the middle of the week after we enjoy this one a little bit, and we know our job's not done.
Congratulations, Greg.
Thanks, Ron.
Appreciate it. Greg Cragen had a fine game at the nose today. Don't go away. We've got plenty more from the Bronco locker room. We'll return in just a minute. The room looking at Dennis Smith's finger. It does not look good. Pat Bowlen, I cannot congratulate you enough. Let me just tell people I was standing near you when Biner fumbled, and you might have the Richter scale may have gone off the meter.
Well, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I thought he got in the end zone and scored. When I saw our guys jumping up and down, indicating that we'd recovered the fumble, I mean, it was I was at field level, and I couldn't quite see that from where I was. So, I mean, it was a remarkable thing to be. We got somebody smiling on us up there. That's all I can say.
Hey, you take any advantage you can get.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, if we got the big man on our side, I'll take it any time.
This is what professional football, I would think, from an owner's standpoint, is all about. You put on a show for the nation today that shows everything that's good about the NFL.
Well, I mean, we're in the entertainment business, Ron, and we had a lot of problems with the strike, and I know a lot of the fans and people around the country were upset with the owners and the players alike, and I think to get back and play this kind of football and entertain the people the way that we should, I think it gets us back in their good graces.
You had said earlier you would not be satisfied by getting anywhere less than the Super Bowl. How does it feel now for the last half hour knowing you're back?
I said before that, if they told me that I could win this game and lose the Super Bowl, I'd say let me lose the AFC Championship.
Sure.
I think that this team has got the resolve and the maturity, and they're not wide-eyed and going to Pasadena anymore. We're going into San Diego with a firm resolve that we want to win that football game and bring the Vince Lombardi trophy back to Denver.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for coming over. Mike Coran, come on in for a second. I thought, Mike, you made one of the key plays of the game. I don't know if people realize that I was in the south stands at the end of the game on the safety. It was a bad snap, which you handled on a hop. I'm sure that was not the way it was designed.
Well, taking a safety was designed, and it's a good thing that we did with the snap like it was. And they had 11 guys coming, and I think it was just a really good decision on the coach's part.
Here you are. You come here in the middle of last year. Your second year, 2 Super Bowls. You must feel blessed.
I do. I just praise God. It's I know it's His doing to put me in 2 Super Bowls. It just feels great. This time, it's not just good enough to go. This time we got to win.
The whole team really feels that way, don't they?
Yeah, I think this little celebration is a little more subdued because we know that we got one more game to win.
Mike, appreciate you coming over. Congratulations.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Mike Horan. Let me see if we can move in here and talk to Dennis Smith.
We had a few injuries.
Congratulations, we're live.
I enjoyed it.
I'm sure you did.
It was a lot sweeter, but we still haven't accomplished our main goal, and we know what we want to do, go to the bowl and win it.
Hold that finger up. I don't think people realize that is really... Can you play with that now?
Yeah, I said I had 2 pins in it going into the game. I only have one. One of them came out at halftime. Other than that, though, only other problem, I think I felt a little winded at times, but the finger didn't bother me too much.
What was the difference in the first half and the second half? You dominated them in the first half and couldn't seem to stop them in the second half.
I couldn't really put a finger on it. I think that we might have lost a little intensity on both sides of the ball because they kept getting the ball back, and we weren't doing much on defense to stop them. And I think we started getting tired. I know I was tired, and we had people that their backs were making big plays more so than the wide receivers. And, you know, they got to give them credit. They're a great offense. We expect them to keep fighting, and we knew we had to keep playing, and they made some big plays. And it's expected in a big game like this, and they showed the type of team they are.
Was Kozar's performance one of the greatest you've ever seen?
The second half, he played outstanding. You can't say enough for him. Like I said, they picked up the intensity, and yeah, the backs hurt us a little bit more than I think anybody else.
Congratulations, Dennis. Appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
Dennis Smith. Let's now go to the Cleveland Brown locker room with Tony Martinez is standing by with Bernie Kosar. Tony?
Ron, one of the great comebacks in NFL history probably won't be remembered that way because the Cleveland Browns lost this ball game, but a great second-half performance by Bernie Kosar, throwing for 4 touchdowns on 4 drives, over 300 yards of offense in that second half. How disappointed is this team compared to last year after another great ball game?
Well, obviously we're pretty disappointed right now, and words really can't describe the feeling that's inside of us right now.
Second half, you come out and score on your first 4 possessions. How are you able to adjust? It seemed like the short passes, the passes to the backs are really working well.
Well, we went out in the second half and realized we put ourselves in a deficit in the first half, and we had to go out attacking in the second half. We want to go after them and mix it around. And what got us here was throwing the ball around, and that's what we were going to live or die by in the second half.
How did you have the ability to come back and do that with a score 21-3 at the half? Most teams would have given up at that point.
Well, this team didn't make it this far, and I don't think really any football team makes it this far in a season that's quitters. And we weren't going to quit, and we believe in ourselves, and we honestly believe that we could and should have won the game today.
What happened on the play where Bynum was about to score a touchdown to tie the game up, and then the fumble?
Well, Ernest is probably one of the best all-around players in the National Football League, and it was just something that happened. We had an excellent call on and got down to the half-yard line, and it was half yard too short.
Do you look at this ball game, the difference being the turnovers, the 3 in the first half and that one at the end?
Yeah, we had some turnovers, and we definitely hurt ourselves at times.
Was the crowd a problem, Bernie? The crowd, especially down here in the horseshoe part of this end zone?
Well, we had prepared for a loud crowd, and we anticipated a lot of noise, so we were able to handle it, and we were prepared for it.
Any words for the Denver Broncos now as they represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks?
Well, obviously, they played an excellent game today, and we can only wish them the best of luck.
All right, Bernie, thank you very much for coming over. Very gracious of Bernie to come over and talk with us as the Broncos in this ball game simply outplayed in the second half by Bernie Kosar on the offense again. Over 300 yards of offense for the Browns in the second half alone. We're going to stay here in the Cleveland locker room. A lot of the players are extremely disappointed. Some players, Bob Golick, even crying here in the locker room after the game now. We'll try to come back if we have someone. For now, though, let's go back to Peter Rogott.
Tony, thank you very much. Mile High Stadium remains a hubbub of activity. As Tony mentioned, we'll be going live to the Cleveland locker room. We'll have more from Ron Zappolo in the Broncos locker room, and we'll have special media interviews as well, so don't go away. We're coming right back on News Center 4 at 5. Of News Center 4 from Mile High Stadium, we go live to Ron Zappolo in a victorious Broncos locker room. Ron.
And thanks very much, Peter. I'm here with middle linebacker Ricky Hundley. You've been involved in a lot of games in your life. Any more bizarre than this one?
Not quite, especially that second half. I tell you, it was like a nightmare. I mean, they scored 1 touchdown. They said they're not going to score us anymore. They scored 2, and you really get frustrated. You say, we're going to stop them. They scored 3, and you say, when is this going to stop? And we just needed 1 drive to stop them. They scored a 4th one, and we finally stopped the drive, and then everything just turned back our way.
How are you able to keep your confidence when they've scored the first 4 times they've had the ball?
Well, we've been through this big game syndrome before, be it with the Seahawks or the Raiders or the Browns. it happened again for us. And that big play that Jeremiah made, caused the fumble, recovered the fumble, that was the key.
Did you feel during that drive as they were moving that this is a team that year in and year out, in that situation, you've always made defensively the big play?
Well, the thing was, it was like reverse deja vu.
This is the play earlier. I think it's the first half play, Ricky, where you really caused a lot. No, this is the play.
This is the play. Jeremiah causes the fumble, the ball pops out, and then he falls on it. And that was a key play. I mean, had he not made that play, he probably would have scored.
Yeah, he would have. Did you feel you could have beat them in overtime? Kind of put you on the spot.
You have to. You have to feel that way. You're in a big game. You have to be confident that you can win no matter what.
Why were you able to stop them so convincingly in the first half? In the second half, you were helpless.
Well, you know, we did everything right. We were just hitting on all cylinders. Second half, they came out and they were hitting on all cylinders. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop the pass. And finally, we shut them down a series. And the big fumble recovery, you know, that just made my day because, man, I was just panic-stricken.
Hey, I sense in here, and tell people, because there are thousands watching right now live, there's not a lot of excitement in here because you feel unlike last year, the road is not complete yet.
Well, you know, we still got one more phase of our goal to complete, and that's to go to the Super Bowl and win. I don't think anybody's just satisfied, you know, winning the Cleveland game, not to, you know, downplay it because it's a big, big win for us, but that empty feeling is still there. You have to win the big game.
Ricky, thanks for coming over. Very happy for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ricky Henley. Freddie Gilbert is here, and Freddie had one of the big plays early in the game. Congratulations. This must feel great for you, being hurt so much. You finally come in the biggest game of the year and have your best game of the year.
Yes, definitely. That was my goal. Once I got back and got healthy, I was going to go out and just do the best I can for this team. I told Stan Jones that I want to be ready for the playoffs, and I want to do everything I can to make this team win.
Freddie, describe to me what happened. Look up at the monitor here. Dennis Smith tips the ball off Slaughter. Now, what happened?
I was fine on Kozar during the time. We had a 4-2 rush, and Rulon and Mackey had to deal, so I had to, you know, keep my eye on Kozar no matter what happened. And so as soon as I saw the ball release out of his hand, I just turned and started running, and I saw the ball just hanging in the air forever, so I just dove at it and got the interception.
I've asked a lot of defensive guys this. I'm going to ask you. You did an excellent job on them in the first half. Second half, you really could not stop them. What did they do to change things?
Well, I think, man, it was all doing because we came out very lackadaisical.
You really feel you did?
Definitely. We didn't have the fire that we had. Everybody on the sideline was kind of quiet, you know, thinking that we had the game won. And so we had to really gel together the fourth quarter, and we got the big turnover by Castile to ice the game.
So you kind of feel it wasn't so much Kozar, it was just you defensively letting them back in the game?
Yes, definitely. And plus they had Byron coming out the backfield, and he was just trying to outrun our linebacker. He run about a 4.445, and our linebacker, I guess, 4.7, 4.8, maybe 4.9 with Huntley. Just couldn't really, you know, keep up with it.
Why does this team not have more of a killer instinct? Because you had a chance to put them away.
Yes, definitely. You really can't describe that because in your heart, I think every guy on this team wanted to put them away. But like I said, they just got the brakes on us and really made a close ball game.
How you feel about the Redskins and Joe Jacoby?
I feel pretty good. I really hadn't thought about him yet. I'll probably start thinking about him tomorrow.
Freddie, congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Freddie Gilbert, who had a fine game today, made the first key turnover that turned the game in Denver's favor. We are now going to throw it to Peter Rogat. So let's go back to Peter.
Okay, Ron, thanks very much. I can assure you, as happy as the Broncos are inside the locker room, those fans that remain outside the stadium are equally happy. Let's go live to Stephen Clark now with some fans. Stephen.
Hi, Peter. I have Don Simpson with me, a season ticket holder for how many years?
8 years.
How'd you like the game today?
One hell of a game, I tell you. It's lived up to its billing.
Did you get bored that first half?
No, I didn't.
You like to watch the Broncos score, huh?
Yes, sir.
Did you get scared the second half?
Come down to the wire. I mean, took a little offense there at the end, but they come through for us.
Great. Have you ever seen anything like this in all the years you've been a Bronco fan?
Never. No, this is the toughest game we've ever played, I think.
Even better than last year?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right. This is the Bronco fan contingent left outside the South Gate. I'm Stephen Clark, reporting live from the South Gate. Right now we're going to go to Tony Martinez, who's got the coach of Cleveland standing by live. Tony?
Yes, Steve, we are here in the Browns locker room once again with Marty Schottenheimer. Coach, thank you for coming over. How disappointed are you right now?
Well, obviously, we're very disappointed. It was a game that early on we kind of let get away from us, but I think a real credit to our players and their character that they battled their way back and we just came up a little short. That was very disappointing.
Incredible second half comeback. 4 drives, 4 touchdowns. What kind of adjustments? They say the best coaches are those that make the adjustments at halftime. What did you do at halftime to make an adjustment?
We really didn't make too many adjustments. I did a couple of things defensively that we think helped us a bit. But, you know, I think it really was a matter of an execution that we were able to do a little more effectively. And again, as I said, I think the source of it all is the character of our players and our football team.
On the second to the last drive, you had really your last long drive of the game. It seemed like you were using the clock so effectively there. Was that your plan all along? With 2 minutes to go, you were on the 25-yard line, and it seemed like the offense could not be stopped at that point.
Well, we performed exceptionally well in the second half, and you know, when it comes right down to it, when you play against good teams, you have to play virtually error-free, and we didn't do that.
Were you able to attack this defense better because you know Joe Collier so well?
No, I don't really think that that's the case. There aren't many secrets in this business. You have an opportunity to evaluate people and study a lot of video on them, and I don't really think that it's my familiarity with Joe.
You said a moment ago that lightning doesn't strike twice. You don't think back to last year, but does it make it any more difficult to have to lose in the AFC title game 2 years in a row like this?
No, anytime you lose, it's a big disappointment. And the fact that it happened to be against Denver a second time doesn't really enter into that disappointment.
Finally, how do you see the Broncos doing against the Redskins in Super Bowl 22?
Well, I think that the Broncos are an outstanding football team, and I would expect that as you look to that game, they may well be a favored team, but as we all know in this business, anything can happen.
All right, Coach, thank you for coming over. Marty Schottenheimer obviously disappointed, but gracious enough to come over and talk with us. Let's go back outside now to Peter Rogat. Peter?
Tony, thank you very much. News Center 4, the special edition of News Center 4 from Mile High Stadium will continue. We'll have the weather forecast. We'll have more live interviews from the Bronco line. Take it away.
Thank you, Peter. That's right, the Duke of Denver. Duke, congratulations.
Thank you. Great win for us.
Was that one of the more bizarre games you have ever been involved in?
I tell you, emotionally, it was probably as high and low as you can go in one football game in one half. That second half was up and down, and, you know, they kept fighting back, and we put some points, and here they'd come again. So, we were very happy to see that clock at 0-0.
5:14 to go. You got it, and it's tied up. Did Keith Bishop look at you and say, "Hey, Duke, we got him right where we want him"?
No, he didn't actually, but he was kind of thinking that way. We knew that the way they were moving the football offensively, that we were going to have to get something done offensively and put some points on the board. And we got down there in the scoring territory, and we knew that 3 probably wouldn't be enough. We wanted to get it in the end zone, and Sammy came through with a big run.
You know, you moved the ball really pretty much at ease in the first half. In the second half, you struggled a little more. I don't know if that was your doing or if that was Cleveland's doing.
Well, I think they played a little better defense in the second half, and, you know, they put some better pressure on me, and, you know, we didn't have the running game. Plus, we had some penalties that we didn't have in the first half that kind of pushed us back. So, you know, things didn't start out real smoothly in the third quarter, but we hung in there and fortunately outscored it.
Hey, the touchdown throw to Jackson might have been the shortest throw in your career for 80 yards. I mean, that was a typical vintage John Elway play.
Yeah, well, I tell you, those are the kind that are fun when you just get the ball. And I tell you the truth, I was just hoping for him to get the first down, and then I see him turn it up, and he got the first down, and then...
Is that it? There it is right there.
There it is. I actually ran into Stephon first, and then
said hello, and
yeah, I just got it out to Mark, and then he makes breaks the tackle there, and now I'm happy he got the first down. The next thing I know, like right there, he makes a great move, and he's gone. There's no one going to catch him.
Hey, at that point, did you feel like I think a lot of other people felt that, hey, that might be it? There may be no reason for them to come back and play the way they did.
Well, I didn't, because they came out in the second half and scored right away, and they're the type of team, and they're coached well, and they're never going to quit, especially in an AFC Championship game. So, we felt better at 28-10 than at 21-10, but we didn't feel comfortable.
Could you enjoy it all, being another quarterback, the performance of Kozar in the second half?
I tell you, he was unbelievable. We couldn't stop him. He was throwing with touch. He beat our zone. He beat the man, and it was virtually unstoppable, and, with guys in his face. So, this is the type of game you hate to see anybody lose, but, we're just glad we're on the winning end.
How do you feel now? Because I sense this entire team, there's not that much excitement here. You still got a game to play, and you don't want it to end the same way it ended last year.
Well, yeah, we're excited, but I think that we all know last year at this point we're going to the Super Bowl, and this year,
not that way this year.
The memory's still fresh in our mind what it's like to lose that Super Bowl, and we know that our work's not done, and we'll celebrate hopefully when we get done this Sunday.
Mile High Stadium may have the reputation of being the noisiest stadium in the NFL, but I'll tell you what,
these Super Bowl-bound Bronco fans here at Zhang's Brewery are making this sports bar the noisiest sports bar in the West tonight. Boy, I'll tell you, my ears are still ringing from more than 2 hours of cheering, screaming, and yelling and cheering. You can hear them now, and it's going to get a lot louder for the next couple of hours. Let me see if I can get a question in here. Wait a minute, wait. Hey, did you ever think the Browns had a chance?
No chance for the Browns to win. No chance.
No, all right. Well, they were certainly confident of victory today, but reporter Steve Lusk spent the day with a couple of Cleveland fans watching the game here in Denver. And up until the very last seconds of the game, they had a totally different perspective. Let's look at that story.
Spanning the orange to bring you the constant variety of Broncomania. This is the edge of orange. Judy Hatfield is definitely living on the edge of orange. This morning, she got an orange and blue do at Hair for You.
I'm a nut. You know, I love the Broncos. They're the #1 team. They're it. There's no doubt about it.
Her hair matches her nails, which have the numbers of offensive and defensive stars of the Broncos.
Touchdown!
Touchdown!
Denver's infamous brown cloud. Strange, but today it wasn't around. No brown cloud over Denver. Bad omen for the Browns. The Bull and Bush bar was full of Broncomaniacs, but we found a couple of brave Browns fans.
Defending our honor. We're going for revenge, and we aim to get it.
Oh, it's great. It's great because we're so happy, and they're going to be so sad in a short period of time.
They feasted on dog bone hors d'oeuvres. More dog bones at a Denver apartment complex. Members of the Browns backers of Colorado were here. They are Browns fans in exile. These folks came to Denver from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Well, we came here hoping we could get tickets.
We came here to support the Browns all the way.
It was a tense afternoon. The Browns backers growled at good plays by the Broncos. They were quiet when the Broncos scored. But oh, how they cheered their beloved Browns. But when the game was over, it was a sad dog day afternoon. Steve Lusk, News Center 4.
All right, back live. Super Bowl hats are already starting to break out here in Zhang's Brewery. Just a couple of quick comments from the bartender, Junkyard. He's got a message for the Washington fans.
All I can say is what a great game. We beat the dogs. We pounded the puppies. I saw an earlier game of some skins and then some purple people. Bring them on. We're going to win it. Second time, we're the champions. We're going.
Today it worked in our favor because a guy like Ernest Byner fumbling on the one usually doesn't happen. You know, he's a great back. He runs hard. He rarely fumbles. Then you see the guy fumble on the one, which would possibly send the game in overtime. You got to start thinking about that Mile High Check.
Deep down, honestly, did you feel on the sidelines you were going to have to go out there and win the game in overtime?
To be honest, I felt like they were going to get in. Yeah. You know, because, I mean, they were driving the ball extremely well. And then when you look at the guy running the ball, he had an opening to the end zone. And the next thing I know, the ball was on the ground. So that kind of caught me off guard. But to be honest, I thought we may have to go out there for a last drive, possibly overtime.
You know, I think great players make their largest impact in great games, and you were swiftly becoming a great player. Did you feel today you could have the kind of game that you had?
I felt that I could go out and play well. You know, the back with Vance out, it was kind of a added thing for me to go out and play hard.
This may be your touchdown catch. Can you describe it?
Oh, yeah, this is the first drive. I had a quick post, and they gave us a zone coverage. And I was able to sneak behind the free safety, and the key to it was the offensive line. I mean, John was able to fake, look, pump, and still have time to find me.
Here he is finding you again, wide open at the 35, and you make a nice run.
Yeah, I was able to get by the outside backer and try to get as much as I could before they knocked me out of bounds.
The one I really liked was on the winning drive, when you were dragging underneath the seam, and it just worked to perfection.
As a matter of fact, that play was the same play I caught in the first half and ran down to the 1-yard line. It was a simple crossing route. And the key to it is that we get man-to-man coverage.
Here's that play at the 1-yard line.
And that's it right there. That's the same exact play that I caught in the last drive. And I was able to beat Dixon across the field, and John made a great throw, and I just had to catch it and turn up field as much as I could get.
Not a bad rookie year on your way to the Super Bowl.
It's a great feeling. It's a great team, great organization, and when you're on this type of team, it makes it fun to play this game.
Hey, any message for Vance? I'm sure he's watching right now.
Hey, we're going to Super Bowl, guys. You get healthy, 3 amigos, ride again.
Okay, thanks, Ricky.
All right.
Ricky Natile, I think summing up, the feeling in this locker room is a rookie is excited, but most of the veterans know that certainly the task at hand is not over. They want to go to and win the Super Bowl. Les?
Well, Ron, it looks like now they're going to sell a few more posters, and they'll probably get their Taco Bell commercial, huh?
I would say if you were a little bit tired of the 3 amigos before today, you better brace yourself for an invasion of the 3 amigos, but it's all in good fun, and, you know, what are you going to say?
All right, in the meantime, you go home and pack that yachting cap of yours. We're going to San Diego.
No, I'm coming into the station. I'm sure there's going to be something extra special tonight, and I wouldn't want to miss one bit of it.
All right, Ron, thanks a lot. From the Broncos locker room. Well, you know by now the Broncos' Super Bowl opponent will be the Washington Redskins, a team that's been to the Super Bowl a few times itself, in 1983 and 84, so they know what they're in for. The Redskins took the NFC Championship today by squeaking by the Minnesota Vikings 17-10, and you'll see what I mean by squeak when you see the end of the game. Tied for Broncos. We have a crew in the Washington, D.C. area right now. Our Jim Hanchett was at the game and in the Redskins locker room. And Jimmy, I'll assume you either escaped the champagne in the locker room or you changed clothes already. Jim?
Les, I got to tell you, I can't hear a thing you're saying back there. All I could say is there are several hundred Redskins fans with me. We're in downtown Georgetown, where the party has begun.
This party begins on the field, continues as the players push through their fans and into the locker room.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
It's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. Happiest moment in a long time. My 3 kids and marrying my wife were #1, but this is up there. This is great. 2018 start out every year, and only 2 can go to the Super Bowl. That means, you know, you got a chance to be a world champ, chance to be the best in the world. It means everything to me. I've never been to one, but I'm going to one in 2 weeks.
San Diego is a place I've been wanting to go for a long time. Now I get to go back for the real thing.
Redskin Gary Clark got the game-winning touchdown. Like the rest of his teammates, the Broncos are tomorrow's worry.
Right now, I just want to enjoy this championship win. It's been a long time coming. There was a lot of sad faces last year for the Redskins, mine being one of them. And this is a great feeling to see all these guys that gave their heart all year. Not many people thought the Redskins would be in, you know, San Diego this year, and it's just a great feeling. And I can't wait to get there, I tell you.
The Redskins now will take their dancing shoes to San Diego. But tonight, the party is in Washington.
Other people are partying in Washington. Reporting live in Georgetown, I'm Jim Hanchett, News Center 4. Back to you.
All right, Jim, I won't ask you any more questions, I promise. I don't know if it's an omen or not, but you know the last time there was a strike in the NFL? The Washington Redskins won the Super Bowl. That was the 1982 regular season. The Broncos will try and stop that trend. And now for the next and final step, the Super Bowl. Mark your calendar. 2 weeks from today, Super Bowl 22 is Sunday, January 31st, the Broncos against the Redskins in Jack Murphy Stadium, San Diego, California. Figure the kickoff to be around 4 o'clock Colorado time, and if you're looking for tickets, so am I. In basketball, the Nuggets did not play today, but listen up.